The Galactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Welcome to Powerbombshells 173.
No ads. No ads. No ads.
Holy cow! I knew it was on. I knew it was going to do that to me. It's 173?
Yes.
Holy cow, I have no idea what's happening. It's Okada Omega Day, folks. I'm Mel. That's Sam. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling we like. I got my new Prime Day earbuds in, Sam, so hopefully they won't be any issues.
Good.
How are you on this fine all-in weekend?
I'm doing okay. Little crazy this morning. My dad is out of town for work, so my sister and I had to go take care of his dogs, and of course, they don't understand that it's all-in day, and
they don't understand the gravity of Okada Omega 5.
Yeah, they just did not. They didn't care. Does not concern them. So we got them back. Came home, rushed in, put on makeup, crammed down some breakfast. As most of you know, I'm not a morning person, so this has been fun. But we made it work, and we're here because it's all-in day, and I'm very, very excited for the show. I did get to catch Supercard last night. I bartered and said that if they needed Supercard coverage about any title changes or anything, I would be happy to cover it. So it worked, and I didn't have to sit through 2 hours of SmackDown for their go home show for Goldberg tonight. And I got to watch Supercard of Honor, which had incredible wrestling. It was excellent from top to bottom, even though the build was, it was what it was. Most of the matches were announced yesterday. But as always, the talent delivered. As I always say, the talent's not the issue with that show. But I will say this now. Go out of your way and spend $9.99 to subscribe to Honor Club and watch the main event. Watch Bandito versus Takeshita. It is a literal match of the year contender. I don't know how that match is going to get topped today. Maybe Omega Okada 5, but that's putting a lot of pressure on them to top that, because that might be the match of the weekend, absolutely match of the year contender. It was incredible, and it's worth the $9.99 just going to watch that match. The rest of the pay-per-view was great too. Lee Moriarty is now the longest reigning pure champion. He surpassed Nigel McGuinness last night because he retained. He beat Blue Panther. He's at day 350. He will be breaking the 1 year mark in now 14 days. So he is now the longest reigning pure champion. He and Blue Panther had a great match last night. Teton versus Nick Wayne was great. Athena versus Thunder Rosa was good from what I saw, but I was writing articles. That was the one. That's what I volunteered to do. It happened. I was writing and didn't get to give the full. I didn't get to give it my full attention, so I'll definitely. But from what I saw, incredible. Athena is the GOAT. She'll be at 1,000 days at at Death Before Dishonor. I fully expect her to go into it with that. But she killed it. The intro match was great. The opening match was Echicero versus Michael Oku.
Ooh.
Just because. And they killed it. It was awesome. Just the show was great from top to bottom. So I know there's a lot of wrestling this weekend, but at some point I highly recommend going to check out Supercard. If you can only watch one match though, watch the main event, because it was incredible. And just my timeline was going on both Twitter and Blue Sky, was going crazy after that match last night. And then I heard from people who were in the building, so they couldn't, somebody compared it to a religious experience. Somebody else said that they will literally never be the same again. It quite literally changed their life. People were saying, I can't believe I got to see it that close. And so I can only imagine it is well worth. I know it's getting hyped up, but it's worth the hype. And so I tell you to go watch it. And good luck to everybody having to compete with that. As if the stakes on Omega Okada already weren't high.
Yeah.
Now Bandito was just like, and Takeshita were like, all right.
They kicked off a good weekend of wrestling properly, we'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that was good stuff.
Right on.
All right. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I did.
How was your show last night?
Yeah, I did see the CCW She Who Laughs Last show yesterday at my KOC hall, which we love. Bea Priestley versus our local gal, Leela Hall. Very good match. Very, very good. We also had an OVW champion here last night who wrestled our champion and gave him a hell of a match that he needed to have. And things are going really well. The kids were happy. It was indie wrestling, supporting my local indie wrestling. Great time.
Always a good thing.
On that venue, and we'll never not love. That's my OG Evolve venue. So anytime they run shows there, it just feels like it's home. It's my OG spot that we originally started watching the Michigan wrestling. And oh man, it always feels good to be in that building. So good energy, great people.
That always makes it better.
Tons of fun. Really getting to know the local wrestling community here it's wild. It's a great group.
It is.
Great group.
Good. That's always a good thing. It's always a good thing when you can support local stuff and then have them be awesome people too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Speaking of which, what a segue!
We are going to be joined today by honorary broad JD Oliva. It's been a while since he's been on, and he has, if you still haven't read Gaijin yet, I don't know what you're doing, because that book is incredible. It is available on, I know there's some stuff about Amazon. That's where it's at.
We're going to let him in. He can
support
an
independent author. Incredible book. And now we've got JD here with us today to talk about his new one.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for
joining us.
I'm out of practice with this whole podcast thing. I think I might be a retired podcaster now. It's probably been about 3 months, I think, since I was setting up this morning. Oh yeah, I took all this stuff down months ago. So thanks. Hopefully I don't suck at this now. So thank you.
No,
I think you'll be okay. I have a feeling you'll make it work.
I hope so. Thanks, guys. So All In this weekend.
Yes.
What?
Happy All In weekend to you.
I'm gonna miss it, actually.
Are you?
Unfortunately, we start our. I'm a high school wrestling coach, and we start our national team camp today. So I will not be able to watch All In until I'm sitting in my dorm room at the University of Illinois on my computer, hopefully finding a legal stream of it where I can watch it. So I'm a little bummed out, but I'll catch up with it. You know, it gets hard. And like now that Mike and I aren't doing the Mike and JD show anymore, I think we'll come back eventually. But, you know, Mike, my partner, we had a show started on Fight Game Media, and we moved to Voices of Wrestling about 2 years ago. And we're on a bit of a hiatus because Mike moved from Honolulu, Hawaii to I believe he's outside. I think he's outside of Columbia, South Carolina. I forget, but he's in South Carolina now. And so his family literally drove across the country this year. And he's resetting his new life up. So we're taking a pause while Mike figures that out, which is great because the last year was really a little stressful for me with the podcast work. I was finishing up my master's degree, being a dad, you know, it was a bit much. So now we're kind of easing into life. And I found time to write another book. So, you know, that's just how it goes.
I think that's good. They probably needed it.
Hey, Nikki's reading Gaijin now. Thanks. Hope you enjoy it.
I have my
hurry up and read it so we can talk about it. It was funny, and I've said this before. When I first got to read it, nobody else had read it yet, so JD was the only person I could talk to about it.
You were one of the first people that finished the book. Like, you're one of the first people that I threw it out to. And when you write something, it's always like, is this good or does this suck? Because as a writer, you're capable of doing things that are both good and sucking. And I believe me, I've written books that are not fantastic. And so you never quite know what you got. So it's like, you got to kind of trust people and throw it out there. And Sam, I knew I was onto something when Sam was like texting me and being like, what is up with this? Or how does that? Or how could you end the book like this? And I was just, I knew, okay, it worked. My ending worked. So like it was
It
was nice little,
I was mad. I was like, "What is happening?" And I was like, "JD," I was like, "What did you do?
What have you done?"
the
But
only
I mean, and I say that in the best way possible. Like, and then it was like for days I was still thinking about it, which is another.
Nice.
That's when you know it's a good book, because for days, like I was still thinking about things, and then we talked about it a bit more, and I was like, I need people to read this because I can't be the only one with this knowledge besides JD and his editor.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's probably my best. Like, we don't have a ton of Amazon reviews because when I launch stuff on Amazon, I kind of can funnel all the reviews to Amazon. But when you do things through Kickstarter, a lot of times those reviews don't filter in for a long, long time. So it's probably my best reviewed book. It's probably my best book that I've ever written. I'm very proud of it. And this time around, I kind of wanted to stay in the same. Like, I really liked writing about wrestling in this way. Like, fictional pro wrestling was a lot of fun. But Gaijin was a stretch for me because it was the first time I'd ever written a book that was crime drama. Most of what I write is supernatural thriller, so I kind of thought it might be fun this time around to kind of blend those two together. So we're actually going to be launching a Kickstarter. I was planning on launching it on Tuesday, but I broke my phone and I went on a trip with my son. I went on a wrestling coaching trip with my son. So I'm like, it's probably a bad idea to try to launch a new Kickstarter when I don't have access to my phone. So I decided to give it a 2 weeks because we have a Fargo tournament coming up this week. So after that, when I come home, so 2 weeks from Tuesday, a week from Tuesday, excuse me, I'll be launching the Kickstarter for Killing the Town. It's a supernatural thriller. It takes place in the 1980s, in the dying days of territorial wrestling. We've got a main character who used to be at the big time and made some mistakes trying to protect the business. He's highly inspired by a famous incident from the mid 1980s that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to get myself sued. But if you read the book, you go, oh, we're talking about that guy. So, but it's a character influenced by that, who kind of washes up in Calgary, and it's kind of his last shot. And while they're on these death tours of the native reserves up in northern Canada, their vans wreck, and they have to deal with the Wendigo. So it's there's a lot more to that. It's really a book that I'm really digging on. I really enjoyed writing this. It was really fun to write about pro wrestling and then do something that I don't think has ever really been done with the genre before, of pro wrestling and supernatural kind of stuff. So again, this is if you've ever read my Books of Jericho series, the Book of Warlock, the last Jericho book that came out in 2021, that's the main character in this book. It's Crawford Lockhart, the Warlock, when he was younger. So this is it ties into the rest of the stuff that I've written, which is a lot of fun. I've got a 13 book, and not really a series, but they're all kind of interconnected, and this kind of ties Gaijin into it. So yeah, Killing the Town, it's going to launch a week from Tuesday. There's the website. It'll be on Kickstarter. This will be my 9th Kickstarter project. I like writing books on Kickstarter. It's a great opportunity to kind of get the work out to people directly and to have interaction with them while you're running a campaign. And this is a novella. It's not a very long book. It's maybe 200 pages. So, it's different. It's not as like wide as Gaijin was, but it's a little bit more nitty gritty. It's a little bit more of a done story. And we're not asking for nearly as much this time as for Gaijin. This is more just a chance to get it out there to people and to get, I don't make a ton off these things. This is more about just, embracing my hobby and getting out to people as more effectively as possible. So I'm excited to talk with you guys about this stuff. I love writing, and I like writing about wrestling, it turns out.
Awesome.
Yeah, who knew?
Shocking.
I like that. I like that as you go along. I think it's really important because we have a lot of artists we talk to, and obviously some in the chat as well that we've had the similar discussions about it. It's just really great to see you integrating those things, going, wait, why don't I take the things I'm already writing about and throw some wrestling in there? Like that.
Right.
That never hurts. It's kind of fun. It's a genre that hasn't been tapped in terms of like fun, like just like what you're saying, where you integrating using a wrestling story instead of using a police department or a fire department, or all this sort of standard tropes of fictional settings. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm biased. show.
I'm remarkably biased as the creator, but it was kind of fun doing a book set in 1987 because one, it's I love territorial wrestling. I love listening to stuff and reading stuff about the 80s specifically. Between the Sheets is probably my favorite podcast. I listen to it every week with Chris Zeller and David Bixenspan. I just love when they dig in to that era in particular, and getting to play in that world is a lot of fun. Getting to write in the 80s is cool because like you don't have cell phones, right? Like this is such a much more dangerous story because there's no way out, right? When I did write a Wendigo story back in 2019 with my Ethan Jericho character. So this is where I'm intentionally treading on some familiar ground, but this is different because like these people don't have the skills to survive. Ethan Jericho is an assassin. You know, he's a survivalist. He can get out of anything. These are just guys that are in over their heads and trying to survive. So I mean, it was a lot of fun to write that. It was a lot of fun to put it in the 1980s and really kind of dig into kind of what was going on, like talk about like, you know, I love talking about, I teach television and graphic design, which you can see, I did the cover of that book myself. I teach that stuff. So I get to talk about like CRT televisions and like what television studio wrestling was like in the 80s. So I mean, I kind of get to nerd out a little bit on those kind of things. So it's a fun book to write. I can honestly say, I don't think there's anything quite like it in the market, which, as they tell you as an independent writer, is a bad thing. But I don't know, man. I just can't. I just don't like doing the same stuff other people are doing. So I gotta be a little different.
Yeah. If you hadn't written Gaijin, do you think you would have written something like this?
I don't get here without Gaijin.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, Gaijin was a story. Gaijin should have been a comic with DC. Back in 2017, and we went all the way to DC at the time had two publishers. One was Yay, one was Nay. So you know, because they both weren't on board with it, they didn't get it done. So I mean, like we developed Gaijin with them for a full year. So that Gaijin was kicking in my head for a long time. Reality wise, I wasn't ready to write Gaijin yet until I spent a good chunk of the pandemic as a wrestling writer. Like I wrote with Garrett a bunch. I wrote with WrestleJoy. I wrote a bunch of pro wrestling stuff. So I mean, like I have a much firmer foundation of just how to write wrestling than I would have back then. So this story actually, no, I don't get here without going through Gaijin first. But I had it. But I mean, there's because I wrote the book, the Gaijin sets this one up. Like there's a small passage. There's a small passage in that book that sets up this story that my editor's like, this is unnecessary, and I'm like, I need you to trust me on this one. This little 2-paragraph here is completely necessary. So, and then this time he's like, oh, I get where you were coming from now. So
good.
Yeah. It's like, it's what he goes. Yeah. I told him, the editor's like, this feels like Gaijin with monsters. I said, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So he's like, as long as that's what you want it to be, we're cool. So I'm excited for this one.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited for this one.
Good to hear.
I can't wait. Yeah, when I saw that you had Kickstarter, it's like, want to come on the show?
Yeah, I appreciate you. I mean, like it's great to talk about. Great to talk about your stuff. It's great to talk about your stuff with your friends, and it's great to talk about your stuff with your friends. And you can kind of push it. Like I said, I'm a little out of the podcast game right now, or else I'd be annoying our old Mike and JD followers. So it's good to talk about it.
We'll annoy them for you.
We'll do that. We got it.
We'll post it to our stuff and all that. So we'll yeah, definitely. And so with this book, or with this Kickstarter, so what is obviously the goal is to get it, to print, but you said it's not going to be like the last one. So kind of what can people look forward to with this Kickstarter? What are some of the rewards you're offering? How can they get involved?
So this is going to be kind of a dirty campaign. It's just going to be a 6-day Kickstarter. It's we call it like a quick starter. Like really the idea is just to push, it's a novella. So you both get the print and the ebook versions of it. You'll be able to get all the rest of my stuff. One thing that was really successful with the Gaijin Kick campaign that I really enjoyed was I did a program for the tournament. And so you can learn a little bit about all the competitors in the tournament. I'm kind of going to do the same thing this time around, but we're going to mirror a 1987 program that you would have been able to buy at an arena. So we're going to do something like that. Yeah, I don't know, those are kind of fun to put together.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the things. So I'm going to do an audio commentary track for kind of where I was on this. And there's this, I kind of got the inspiration of this story. I got listening to the old Lance Storm, Don Callis, Killing the Town podcast. Like that's where I got the title from. And he told a story on there that really kind of jump started the idea for this. And Don Callis and I have history together. He used back in 2020, he used me as a mark to push the him and Kenny Omega story months before it was on AEW television, which I always appreciated. Because that was the biggest thing I had ever written at the time for the Fight Game site, actually. So this is kind of me karmatically with the title of this and the inspiration paying it back into the universe. So like it's like I said, I try to keep things cheap as possible because the more bonuses you put in, the more money you have to like produce. Like it gives you have to do more. So I mean, I try to keep this stripped down to I'm selling books because like a lot of people in Kickstarters, they want to sell T-shirts, they want to sell doorstops, they do all kinds of stuff. I'm not in the business of like merchandising. I'm in the business of selling books. So when it comes down to it, like maybe my Kickstarters don't blow the doors off of some others, but I mean, like when you come to mine, you're getting a book, you're getting whatever book you want. Like every book in my catalog is going to be available. I've written 13 novels. This is, I guess you can say it's 14. This is novella. It's shorter than most stuff I've written. So if I want to count it in there, but you have access to everything that I've ever written, both print and digitally. You have access to audiobooks that I've created. Like you have access to all that kind of stuff. And then we could do some cool things. One of the things that are most popular is you can become a character in the story.
Yeah.
Like that's our highest reward tier.
That's a cool option.
It is. And I've got a couple people that usually I hate saying I can rely on them, but they enjoy it so much that they always jump in and they want to be characters. I got a friend who's like, I want to see how many times you can kill me. So it's always a challenge to create a new character with the same name. Eventually I'm gonna have to do some kind of like a cosmic tie-in that's like a rebirth thing or something at some point because it's getting ridiculous. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to include people in it.
The multiverse has lots of verses, so you can do what you want with it.
That's true. I'm a Stephen King fan, so all things serve the beam.
Someone actually asked, since you mentioned audiobooks, will there be an audiobook version? Could be cool to get some pros to do some of the characters.
Okay, so here's the thing. Audiobooks are I'm going to give you a controversial take on this. I don't hate AI as much as some people do. I think it's a tool that creators can utilize to their advantages. If one were to do an audiobook, you have to understand when you're producing an audiobook, specifically one with massive talent on it, it's a lot of front end money. And as an independent creator, it's a lot of coming out of my pocket. It's a lot coming out of my family budget to pay for something that is probably number 3, if not 4 on the chain of like what we're trying to sell. So will there be an audiobook version? Yes, there will be. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm going to work with Amazon and their AI voice program because at this stage of my career, it's the more cost-effective benefit. It's the more cost-effective version for me. Would I love to be able to hire people? Like, would I love to be able to hire a cast of thousands to like be like, would I love to be Andrea Romano, like the old DC animated shows and just have like the best people reading my words for me? Absolutely. Fun. Could I afford that and like pay my mortgage? No, I can't right now. But what I can do is I can do something using Amazon's AI program and offer that at a super discounted rate. And if that bothers you, very, very cool. Like I said, I wrote this book on my own, with my imagination. So if supporting something that's AI driven bothers you, which it does bother a lot of people, you don't have to partake in that. For me, I'm all a matter of like, how can I maximize the time that I have efficiently that doesn't hurt my family? Correct. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm a hobby writer. Like I'm a teacher. That's how I pay. That's what pays my mortgage. So I have to be able to do cool things in a budget. And we're in a position right now culturally where a lot of people don't like that. And that's okay. Buyer beware. Everyone has their, I refuse to watch WWE programming because I don't like how it makes me feel morally. So if you feel that way about something I've created, I completely understand. And, no hard feelings.
Thank you for that, and thank you for thank you for being upfront about it. I mean, AI is something I'm very hesitant about.
I get it.
Being a writer, which I get. I see, the pluses and the minuses, but there's also, now there's, I won't get into it, but so I appreciate you being upfront about it, and I will be supporting the physical.
I'll tell you a quick AI story. I have a problem with my writing is that my fingers don't move as fast as my brain. So like, I'll get in a flow. Like I can write I usually when I'm writing about 40 minutes to write about 1,000 words. So that's like when I'm getting going, I can really flow. The problem is I miss words sometimes because my brain fills them in. And when I go back and do rereads, my brain thinks they're still there. So to cut down stuff, I decided I was going to use ChatGPT to kind of help me out with that, to kind of help me find the words that are missing. So I'd write my story and I would plug it in there. I said, hey, help me fix my grammar on this. What I found is that it started editing my story and started making changes to it.
Oh, gross.
Well, I was like, holy shit. And I had to I'm like, stop doing this. Stop changing my story. And it was like, no, this is better. And I'm like, okay, fuck you, robot. That's not better. Like, just fix my goddamn grammar. And it was such a surreal experience for me.
I can imagine.
Because like, I'm not anti-ChatGPT. I work in education. You know how many times I have to write a letter of recommendation? Come on, let's be real. Like, so I was like, let's see if I can make this work. It was an experiment a little bit. And I didn't like it, to be quite honest with you. Like, I didn't like how much it would freelance, which is spooky, So there are things that I said, I teach graphic design. So, understanding AI art is something that business wise I have to prepare my students for because it's integrated in Photoshop now. It's integrated in the work experience. I'm a career technical education teacher, so I have to understand these things. But part of understanding is understanding what it can do. And I would rather experiment with something and learn what it can do than stay in fear of it and not understand it. So at least I'm not talking out of my ass when I say, hey, these are the problems with this thing. So I can now I can really say to people, and that's why I want to talk about this. I want to say like, hey man, this thing has a mind of its own and will go off and do its own thing if you're not careful about it. And that was kind of spooked me out a little bit.
Yeah, that is very spooky. I would be super annoyed by that if it started creating my stuff.
It was annoying, let me tell you.
Because then you had to go back and like
I fucking went back to Grammarly. Grammarly doesn't change my it doesn't change the story on when I'm working on it,
Right. What a nightmare. So again, you said that the Kickstarter starts a week from this
Tuesday.
Okay.
So not this Tuesday because I'll be in Fargo, and I just think it's a bad move trying to run a Kickstarter when I'm not at home.
Yeah.
So I need to.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts to it.
It's time consuming, but I mean, that's right now the page is up, so you can click on it and give it a follow. I could post a preview link later, which we have it just basically tells you what the story is, tells you how the characters are. And it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm very excited. We released the cover image of what the book is going to be, and
awesome.
I'm very excited about that. I was able, again, I teach Photoshop, so I was able to kind of mimic the look of a 1980s of an old paperback cover.
Yeah.
So it's got creases and like folds in it, and it looks like it's been beat up. Which again, it actually serves the story. It's a plot point. So I'm pretty excited about that. Just to get out there and do something different. So I'm really thrilled about this book. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super interested. I can't wait to read it. It sounds really, really cool. And how long does the Kickstarter last for?
6 days.
6 days. All right, so y'all listen. You got 6 days. When we start posting these links, y'all got 6 days to get involved. No pressure, but 6 days is what you got.
From then, it'll be about a month and a half before we start receiving rewards, because it takes about, realistically, I don't like throwing out the rewards before I know the money is coming in, because there's a lot of times that people back things and then turns out they don't have the money. So you want to make sure that, because it takes about a month for Kickstarter to collect and redistribute the funds. So I'll make sure you actually bought your book before you get it. And then there's there's the process, but you're getting it. I've got 9 Kickstarters under my belt now. 100% guaranteed delivery and everything. This is not one of those it's not really a thing anymore, but back in the day when Kickstarter was starting getting big, you'd have a lot of people creating stuff and would run away with the money, and you'd never see anything.
Yeah.
And that's that's not really a thing that happens anymore. In the 2010s, you heard a ton of stories, especially I come from comics, especially in comics, heard those stories. That's really not too much to be worried about. Most people now have pretty much legitimized Kickstarter. Brandon Sanderson, one of the biggest fantasy authors in the world, is using Kickstarter exclusives to release his books. So like,
Wow.
it's just a another channel with which to sell. One that I make, quite frankly, I make more on Kickstarter than I would on Amazon. So I prefer you buy my
That's
books
another
on
reason we
Kickstarter.
push Kickstarter, is because you want, obviously, as an independent writer that is married and has a child, you want them to get as much money as possible from their work. So we highlight. I mean, if you have to wait till he gets to Amazon,
I get it.
Fine.
I mean,
But
Amazon,
if you're able to support the Kickstarter, because
they just take so much money from creators. Like, they just take so much off the top that it's, unless you have a major need to get it out to every single person, or you have a big storefront where you can absorb that cost and still make money, it's not built for a Kickstarter. Is more catered to independent creators, independent IP.
Kickstarter is definitely more catering to creators than Amazon is, but Amazon actually this is the dirty secret. I don't like dealing with Amazon, but it's the number one bookseller in the world.
Yeah,
well, sure, of course.
Amazon launched its company on books, and
I remind people of this quite often, because everyone thinks, oh yeah, Amazon, I get everything on it. Well, I worked at Barnes & Noble when Amazon came out and they were selling books. So I was perpetually arguing with people about why they could get the book cheaper on Amazon. It's like, they don't have to pay me.
Yeah,
guys.
there's no overhead. And like, what is nice about Amazon with creators is they allow anyone to release a book through them. And Amazon does, I mean, like, the reality of publishing in 2025 is that unless you're Stephen King or Bill O'Reilly or someone with that, like, a publisher is not going to take care of most Midwest writers.
Nope.
So publishers, they're going to take like 60-70% off the top of what a book makes. Whereas with Amazon, I'm making 70% off every sale. So, I mean, like, Amazon, I want to say they take care of their creators, but in the grand scheme of publishing, authors do better with Amazon than they traditionally do.
Their risk sharing is lower.
Exactly. That's a great way to describe it, Mel. The risk sharing is much lower.
It's just lower because if you're when these publishers, you have to, and they don't want to take, especially big companies, the last thing they want to do in this market right now is take chances on things that are untested. They're always, that's why you're seeing 8,000 versions of Final Destination, or the Fast and Furious thing and it's why, I mean, it's made media stale in a lot of ways.
Totally.
Because they don't want to take the actual, especially in this market, they don't want to take the risk.
Mitigating risk, like you said earlier. I mean, like, and that's what, like, Random House, realistically, I'm a risk to Random House. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, a book about wrestling and ghosts. Like, come on, man, I'm not interested in that.
Who
like,
wants to read that?
Right, for Random House, they're not interested in something like that. But for me, I get on Kickstarter, get a nice little launch, put some coin in my pocket for my effort, and then it goes and lives on Amazon for the rest of time, where anybody goes, oh, I want to read that book, and they can go pick it up. And I don't have to cut in anybody. I don't have an agent. I don't have a publisher I have to worry about. You know, it's all my effort, but my effort comes back and helps me in the long run, as opposed to having to rely on a machine that doesn't give two fucks about me. Mm-hmm. You know, there's pluses. Like I said, there's a giant steamroller out there. You can either be squished by the steamroller, or you can learn to kind of work within the steamroller. Yeah. You know, and maybe you only break a couple toes as opposed to like having your entire body get crushed. And in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather lose a toe or two.
Right there with you.
Fair enough.
We have to create our own economies, because these big giant conglomerations that are stealing literally everything, including our labor, just can't simply. We need to make our own economies, and those are Kickstarter is great too, because like you said, it not only does it put the money in your pocket. It's more community. So you have a whole community of people that have been following your Kickstarters because they've been following your Kickstarters. Mm-hmm. Just like the person who designed Cube, who designed our logo. He did Kickstarters for a lot of his things for a long time, and it grew into a group. So
that's why Kickstarter is great. It lets you just talk to people, it lets you get the words out to people, and like you get to directly, and I love it because I get to come on and talk to my friends and push my book, and I don't have to say, go to Barnes and Noble, go to Remember Borders? Remember when Borders was a thing? Like you don't have to go to the,
I
you don't
used
have
to
to
have
go.
a Borders in my town. It was the only bookstore in town. So I used to hang
too.
out there a lot.
I'm so I've written so much in Barnes and Nobles and Paneras, and
Yep.
like I'm very comforted by capitalism, which is a very disturbing thing for someone that claims to be such a leftist. But it's like I enjoy Kickstarter because like it gets to you get to talk to people, you get to push your stuff, you get to be creative, and I'm not at the mercy of anybody else other than me. Like if I did well, it's because of my effort, and if I don't do well on something, it's because I didn't do a good enough job. And I would rather it be that way. Like I don't know. I got that independent spirit, and I like doing my own stuff, and I don't trust other people when it comes to my own work. So I'd rather live and die on my own sword, for better or for worse.
Yeah, I totally get
lot
it.
of
And it
friends
seems
that
to
are
have
just-
worked out for you so far because
Yeah.
you're on your 14th, book, and
This is
and you've
Kickstarter
got
number 9.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
that's pretty impressive.
it seems like the happier course for you, and that's the best course.
Oh, I love what I do. I said the writing doesn't pay the bills, but it also puts a nice little coin in my pocket for down the line. And I'm teaching my son. My son's writing his own books now. He's 9.
That's great.
And like, yeah,
God.
we put together a little kid story for his mom for her birthday.
Awesome.
And like he talks about wanting to write when he gets older. He also talks about wanting to be an astrophysicist. What's the best part about being 9 is you can do anything.
Yeah, of course.
So it's pretty cool. So I like that I get to show my son that, if you have some work ethic and you're willing to get your feet dirty a little bit, you can do anything.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so excited for this book,
Me
and we'll
too.
definitely make sure we're plugging it here. And then before we let you go, since it is All In Day, do you have any predictions or hot takes or anything you're looking forward to whenever you get to watch that stream in a dorm room?
I can't believe I'm 45 years old and me sitting in a dorm room. I am very excited about this show. I'll be honest with you, I'm less interested in the main event because I think that it's just time. I think it was I was talking about John Hughes yesterday. I think having Hangman stand tall at the end of Dynamite did just a good enough job to fuck everybody up because they're so used to WWE style booking where the guy who's losing is going to be down before the big show. So everybody sees Hangman staying tall and like, oh my God, he's going to lose now. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's WWE brain definitely kicks in.
Totally. But we're all guilty of it because
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I find myself
Do it all the
that
time.
WWE brain all the time.
Oh.
And I mean, I guess part of it is because I do watch it, but because I get paid to. But and so
Yeah, but that's what we all grew up on. So
yeah,
it's what we're all going to instinctively. Now it's institutionalized, and it's like written in our brains, whether we like it or not. It's just a response.
We watched we were watching a couple of matches from a GCW show the other day, and one of them, I jokingly said, "Where's the NXT logo?" And the turn did happen, and so I think it did happen if it's the match I'm thinking of. But I mean, obviously it was a joke, but I mean, like that's just how conditioned we are to expect certain things.
We have Pavlovian responses to this stuff.
Yes.
Like I've been watching, like whether you like it or not, we've all been watching a Vince McMahon inspired product for the better part of 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Everything is either a takeoff of Vince or a rejection to Vince. Right. Vince's fingerprints are all over this business and will be for a long, long time, whether we like it or not. So anytime we can buck those trends and fight against our sensibilities is a great thing. I thought that was excellent booking this week. I'm interested in the tag match. I'm really interested in the Young Bucks versus Swerve and Ospreay because I think on the level it seems like getting the EVP title off the Bucks is the move, but I think there's a ton more story potential keeping Swerve and Ospreay out of the title picture for a year.
Me too.
Because now you've got a race. You've got a race between these two guys of who can get there first in 1 year. And it makes sense to keep Will specifically out of it for a year because we're going back to Wembley next year. Right. And they can, based on what I've seen with Paige this year, I really think that when the time comes to just get behind Ospreay all the way, they can. That being said, you can also do the same thing with Swerve. You can get Swerve hot and get him going whenever they want because you have two guys that either one of them can be the guy at any point, right? And then there's like, it's where AEW's in the spot where they have 3 baby faces that could lead the promotion anytime. I can't think of another promotion anytime where you have 3 baby faces.
Yeah.
That could take charge at any given point. Even like, Attitude Era, you had Rock and Steve Austin.
Yep.
There was no clear, like, who was number 3 in that? Chris Jericho? Like, I mean, like, there was nobody else that could have been ready that could be the guy at any moment. And so the race between those two to see who it could be the next guy, super interesting to me.
Yeah.
So
And
that excites me.
yeah, because we kind of had the same thought that, like, it seems pretty obvious with this caveat that the Bucks are going to win because you've got to keep them out of the title picture. But I didn't even think about the race part of who is a race between the two of them to see who can get there first. And so I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. And that makes it even more interesting. And that kind of opens, because we had the conversation last week, like, okay, if you can't have Will Ospreay or Swerve as your champion for a year, who could potentially win in that year? Because I don't see Hangman, if he wins tonight, like, I don't see him holding it to Wembley next year. Like, I feel like there will be at least 1 to 2 other champions between now and Wembley next year. And, like, who could you make the face of your company in that time frame and who do you want Will Ospreay to beat or Swerve for that matter to beat to become that champion? But it feels like it's setting up Will Ospreay to win at Wembley next year.
It feels, which I think is the move for what it's worth. I think that is the right move to do. I think because, like, you want to get back to the next time you go to Wembley. I think running Wembley back-to-back years was a mistake, even though they went up with a good crowd last year. I think it was 45 plus, something like that, but it wasn't the 80 the year from the year before. So if you want to try to approach those numbers in a year's time, because I mean, like, I know the big cool thing to say is that, oh, AEW did, but it's not. Like, they have had a nice turnaround with this about everything this year, right?
Yeah.
The booking is better. The shows have been better. Running in the smaller venues has been smarter. I think that the way you get Wembley packed in 2026 is you put Ospreay in the main event. Now, who is that against? I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of places you could go. You could go back to MJF. I'm not a fan of MJF as the champ, but I want to see him as the heel champ because we got.
Yeah, I think that seems to be a story that people want to see, and they want to see Ospreay beat a guy like MJF.
I'd like to see that. I think that I'd like to say you could heat Takeshita up at that point because he's amazing, but I don't know. There's something missing from the presentation with him on top. Like, and I don't know if it's Don Callis. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's one extra dimension holding him back from being the guy. And perhaps that is a heavier run in New Japan as a top guy that could cement that. But I feel like there's one thing that's missing, and I don't quite know what that is. There's other options that I would like to see because you got to figure out if Hangman wins, what heel takes it from him. You know, and at the top of my head, the only one I could think of right now is Max, but I don't know who would you guys see? Like, if Hangman wins tonight, who do you think the next guy is?
I think it's MJF. I think MJF wins the gauntlet today, and I think he cashes it in on Hangman. I don't know how soon. I think Garrett's theory was at World's End. I don't think I don't know that I see Hangman having that short of a reign, but because World's End is where the whole Devils thing came about, like where we finally got rid of that godforsaken with that terrible story. So maybe we reclaim that for MJF
I'll tell you something.
get the win there.
2023 with the whole MJF as the babyface champ thing was the worst time for me as a fan since about 2003, 2004 when I stopped watching wrestling the first time. Watching, because I don't watch WWE, watching AEW was a chore. And the only reason I stuck with it is because Mike and I had our own podcast when we were starting to make some money. And I go back and I listen to some of those shows and I sound like a miserable fuck. Like, you could just tell that this is a dude who doesn't. I got called out on it a couple times getting emails. People like, you don't like your hobby. And they were 100% right. I was not a fan of the AEW trying to be WWE era of television. And
he was listening to people he should not have been listening to.
Yes, there were too many. Like, Jimmy Jacobs is in the room just telling you, like, oh.
Yeah, it was.
Well, you could tell.
It was awful.
It's pretty obvious.
I mean, because they were the parts of it that were good were the parts that had always been good about AEW, but it was so heavy on being WWE light and bringing in, and so finally Tony was just like, enough.
It took.
I'm going back to when he even talked about it the other day on the media call. Like he said in 2020, he made a resolution that like he will listen to choices, but if he doesn't feel like if he has to be talked into it, then the answer is no. And so he said he kind of recommitted to that going into this year, bringing that vibe back, and you can see it. It's night and day in the product
for sure, and just going to the shows. Like, and again,
Yeah.
I typically go every time they're in Chicago. I'm not going to be going during their residency because they want $70 per ticket for me to go to the Aragon Ballroom. Like, that's $140 for me and my kid to go, plus parking, plus I got to get my ass to downtown Chicago. I can't. No, they're asking me way too much. So as excited as I am to go, like economically speaking, I can't do that right now. I cannot justify $180 to go see one night of Dynamite. Can't do it.
Yeah.
But going to the last show they had in Chicago, it was the most packed it had been in like 2 years at the Sears Center or now Arena. Like you just go, you can see the vibe is different again. You can see that everything feels kind of where it was in late 2019. Like
That's
you're
how
not
it was in
getting
Detroit too.
Yeah, you're not getting those sold out.
When they played the
shows
Masonic
like
Temple Theater, it was so
what a
much
gorgeous
more like,
show.
Yeah,
what a gorgeous show that was. Yeah,
that
we got stuck with
is
like
so cool.
hella cool.
They keep doing so they've been doing Charlotte's show like at the first weekend of the year, but this year we were stuck in the day before they did Wrestle Dynasty, and so they spent half their roster to Japan, and then the first was the Big Mac show. So they're like, oh yeah, we have to put Collision, and just like kind of like it ended up being a solid show, but like it wasn't like I was like, why? It was kind of, there were good things, but then they were just kind of things, and I was like, it's because we felt like an afterthought, and I was just like, can you put some thought into the show,
because
please?
you were because you
We
guys
were.
were.
Oh no, 100%. Like we felt like there were good matches and made it worth it, but yeah, we definitely it felt like an afterthought. Like so I'm hoping like next year when they go into it, because they won't have like hopefully they won't be doing Fight for the Fallen and they won't be trying to launch on since they won't be launching on Max. Hopefully they'll give some thought to that show.
Like the nice thing about like I said, the Messianic Temple in Detroit show looked great. They ran the Hammerstein, looked great. They're starting, and the one thing you watched like a WWE TV or AEW for a while, everything looks so generic and boring, right? Everything looks the same, like the same arena, video ribbon in the upper deck, and it's just like everything is the same. And you'd go to like I would go to shows for AEW, and Chicago's never horrible, but I would go to some of those Wintrust shows, and it'd be like a little vacant, and some of them I'd be like, this just doesn't have the vibe. Or you'd watch it on TV and be like, it just doesn't feel it anymore. It's like 2019. They're running these smaller venues again, where they're not selling out everywhere they go, but they're getting people that are super fired up and want to be there. And the shows
restored the feeling.
They really have. I mean, like I don't. And this is like the argument I see is like, well, they're not as profitable as WWE. I'm like, well, I don't give a flying fuck.
They're not ever going to probably be.
No, I don't. And that's
they're the alternative for a reason.
That's I've said this for years. I mean, like you have to embrace being an alternative. Being an alternative means being different than the competition. Like if they're doing one thing, you should do something else specifically to be different. And Eric Bischoff, who killed WCW and who's in the process of doing something very stupid in my favorite sport, is currently, for one thing I'll say about him is that when they ran that first Nitro at the Mall of America, it didn't look like anything WWF was doing in 1995. Right? When they ran those beach shows, it didn't look like anything different. It didn't look like anything WWF was doing. When they ran those like Club La Vila and like those nightclub shows at Nitro, they look different. So the more AEW can not necessarily ape that specifically, but to embrace different, running shows differently, the better off they're going to be. And I think that this idea of thinking different, the more they think different and lean into just doing the opposite, the better off they are. And even if they're not doing 15,000 people in a television taping like WWE is doing, that's okay. Again, I look back at the 1980s, right, where you had 5 different promotions that were fighting for a top spot,
right,
that all looked and felt different. Right. And that's what I want from wrestling. I just want it to be different. And it's harder now because WWE is such a cultural touchstone in 2025 that it's an uphill battle, especially when you have major media players that are fighting it and fighting the narrative. Like, you've got agents. Do you see this guy, this LaPiccolo dork, who was actually arguing with Dave? I'm like, you're a fucking agent. Shouldn't you be like on Tony's good side? So, like, I don't know, so you can at least tell your clients bosses, like, hey, you know what? We can go get paid more over here. But I mean, like, if you salt the earth before it even has a chance, like, what a complete dipshit.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah, I don't see how if I saw my agent like behaving like that, I would be finding a new agent.
Right. I get punk.
Well, you have to give those people like 30%. You better believe I'd be finding myself a new agent.
Yeah, if you're gonna potentially burn any possibility, or even if I have no, like, I think Drew McIntyre probably has no plans to ever leave WWE. But if he wants to say, bless you, if you want to say, hey, AEW is going to offer me this and use it as leverage, because if they be like, I see how your agent acting, they're not going to take you. You're just harming your client.
That's literally business.
Right. Like, you're hurting. It's like, it's so weird to defang your own leverage. It's so and so publicly, and to get nothing out of it. Like, you're Twitter fighting on Dave Meltzer's timeline.
But they're so scared of change that they're unwilling to. They can't see the forest through the trees. It's like you can't see that signing a whole bunch of people up for Medicare actually gives you hundreds of millions of new customers, because Medicare only covers a little bit. So you could have 100 million new customers, or you could have 20 million less customers, which is.
But Mel, if we can't demonize the poor, how can we feel better than people?
I know.
Like,
if we're all if we can't all attack each other, who can we really blame?
Well, bread and circuses, right? We keep people fighting amongst each other, so they don't realize kind of what's going on. I don't know. Wrong podcast for those kind of conversations.
No, it's okay.
No, we have those conversations wrong conversation for a pre-show, maybe.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Okay.
So
a little existential. It happens, but you know what? It is affecting all of our lives right now, and I think it's important that we are all reminding each other that we have each other's back, and that there are not, some of us are not entirely insane, and that like some of us care about each other. We're very human, like this group thing. So yeah, seriously, I know.
I would like to think,
and I'm a girl to boot, so my brain isn't even big enough for that.
Well, you're public enemy number one as far as some of those people are concerned. You got.
That's true. I am.
You have a uterus, so
my genitals are on the inside. So what do I know?
Some of them don't know that. Go all in preview. I'm excited. I'm excited for the tag. Omega Okada. What do you guys think about this one? I am expecting to be disappointed.
So you're leaning on the disappointed side, huh?
I don't know, man. Those 4 matches were so great, but they were also so long ago. Like, Kenny's 42, Okada's 38 now, something like that. Like, and Okada, I don't want to say Okada's been Nakamura-ing it in AEW.
Listen,
but
I always say that man carried New Japan on his back for 5 years. He's entitled to do whatever the hell he wants. If they're gonna pay him, I get it. I get both sides of it. But like, at this point, you're just gonna get Road to Okada until it's time for him to crank it up. And I feel like this is a match where he will show up, because that's what people expect of him. And I think that's what he expects of himself when he's in the ring with Okada. So with Omega.
Well, here's where my WWE PTSD kicks in. Is I see this and I'm like, can he still kick it into high gear? Like, I see, like I remember when in 2016 when Shinsuke Nakamura was coming to WWE, I was like full frothing at the mouth, telling everybody, this guy's amazing. This is back before New Japan was like super cool, right? Like, you had to be a super insider to like be watching New Japan. I was like, this guy's amazing. He's super cool. Da 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 da. And they had that match with Sami Zayn. I'm like, yeah, I told you. And then it never quite got into it. And a lot of that was like, how dare you crush my hopes? And this is what I did every week on the Mike and JD show, every week on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
You guys know you miss it.
Yeah, I kind of. Like,
Not you.
miss.
I mean the people in the chat. I know that you maybe wherever you are with podcasting, you may come back, you may not. But I'm sure that I see that people love you guys and miss you and are constantly adding you about what your opinions are. So.
Mike and I had some really good people that dug us. So I'll say that. Maybe we'll see what happens with that. But like, I just hope they want to turn it up, because I don't think Nakamura ever wanted to turn it up again. And I know Kenny wants to do that, because Kenny cares about his performances every single time. Like, even when Kenny's being a dork, he's like trying to be the biggest dork in the world.
Right.
Like Kenny is.
That's why it works.
Yes, I agree. Kenny is the definition of a try hard, and I nothing but respect for people that try hard. Okada, sometimes
I think he will.
I hope so.
I think he will, because it's Omega. I think because it's them and what this match means to the wrestling industry, and I probably even what it means to Tony. I feel like he will. Am I playing myself and hoping it lives up to the first floor? Probably, but I think that Okada is going to be the Okada he's been paying, that everybody expected him to be when he gets here. Now, after this match, will he go back to being Road to Okada? Probably, but that's fine. I just need him to show up today.
I mean, if it's any consolation on that situation, as someone who's seen Okada many times, watching people see Okada even for the first time in Detroit, even though he may be Road to Okada, they were still marking out. I mean, people
he's great.
Seeing Okada is still something like, and any form or fashion was still something that wasn't accessible to people previously. Is now it was like a bucket list item, and you could see
that's
the
like
excitement.
How we felt when we saw him at All In. Like, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see Okada again, because obviously AEW did not exist, and so like when I saw him, I was like, this might be it. Yep. And Nikki and I went to Pro Wrestling Tees and met him, because we were like, this could be it. And obviously now we're spoiled and he's here, and I get the people who were like, this is not the Okada I watched, and I get it, but also I get that man carried that company on his back, and he deserves to dial it back a bit. And he's doing weekly TV where, well, I mean, obviously he's been gone, but like in the format, it's weekly TV versus a couple house shows leading up to the big show, and he has to show out at the big show. Like, I think, because like, where Will Ospreay like doesn't know how to dial it back because he's like at 15 every time he's in the ring, Okada has figured out like, hey, I can just dial it back to like 4 and I'll be all right.
But here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is the Japanese wrestling scene breeds that, because like you have a big match and then you're going to be in a tag, right? And think about all those Japanese house shows that featured like a chaos tag. Right, during Okada's great one, like Okada wasn't putting in the effort on those nights, nor should they. Right, like that's just how it goes. Like sometimes you're the G1 UFC matches, so. Right? But I mean, sometimes you're in the
that's why I was like, they're Road to Okada is what he's doing.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes you're in that G1 and you have Yujiro on the other side, and are you gonna get like that effort? Like I said, I'm more worried about Kenny physically. Like I just don't know. I just don't know if they have it anymore to get to that level. I don't think it's going to be a thing of effort. I just think it might be a thing of father time. And I also live by the credo that if you have lowered expectations, you're never disappointed.
Sure. Yeah.
I, on the other hand, am completely separate. I think it's going to break Dave's scale again, and I have my reasons. I have logic here. There are reasons. I do believe that because this is probably the last time we are going to see these two do this.
No, we're not. We're going to see it one more time eventually, so that Nikki and I can be there in person. So,
but
we're going to get it.
But if we're if we're talking about father time, and we're talking about the fact that Kenny has said repeatedly that he knew that he had a shelf life and that it was coming due, and he's always been very specific. I think that in terms of the gravity of the situation and the history, I think they will both show up. I think they'll probably break Dave's scale again. They're going to piss everybody off for the rest of the freaking year. And 10 times as many people are going to be mad that they didn't get ballots this year. That's what I think. That's how I think that we're finishing out.
I think it's going to be really good. I just, now after watching Takeshita versus Bandito, I want it to be like, I'm trying to not, I want it to be, I know what I want it to be. I want it to be 10. I do want it to be 10 stars. I want that, But
Sorry.
given everything else that I'm trying to be realistic and realize that like they may not be what they were 7 years ago. Kenny obviously has a lot of health issues and he's got to take care of himself. And I don't want him for my entertainment to like risk putting himself back in the hospital.
True.
Just for this match. Would Omega do that? Probably. Like
you guys are so much more kind than I am. Like I have like again, maybe
we all have our parts to play.
Like I'm like if people are like, oh, I don't want to see them kill themselves for my entertainment. I'm like, I'm okay with it. Like
I mean, if they do, they do. If I guess
it's up to them, right?
Happy. If that will make me Omega happy, sure. But do I want him to like this be like him like I don't want him to like Randy.
I mean, it's kind of like back in the day when you used to worry about Ibushi and Naito killing each other. It was like, but you're still watching.
Ibushi and about kills himself now. He has there's that old joke. Somebody joked that that Ibushi has to drop on his head every 10 minutes or he'll get the shakes.
Well, it's because he actually does get the shakes. He has like early on, he just starts like twitching like that. Like him and Naito just like, I don't know how either one of them has a neck. Again, growing up watching, Mick Foley do stupid shit. I just kind of accept that these guys are dumb.
Fair.
They're just kind of dumb. Like it's fine, but I'm entertained.
Well, I mean, in fairness, Mick Foley has admitted
smarter than the average dummy.
Mick has totally admitted that. He's admitted he's dumb.
You're preaching the choir here. Like I got my own cauliflower ears. I'm still competing.
Say you're a wrestler also, so
right. So it's like I'm speaking for like people that I'm wired like. So I understand.
Yeah,
like
I understand the mindset. I do too.
I'm old. Like I said, I was with my kid this past week out at a wrestling camp, and I stayed to do the college kid practice, and I'm 45 and I was practicing with the college kids and winning. So, I mean, I get it completely. I get the I get the mindset of like, fuck father time. I will go until my body falls apart. So that's why I guess that's why I don't feel sympathy. I feel like camaraderie when I see that because like
I get it, but also I just know that this man like lost 2 feet of his intestines and like Father Time
do you really need all those intestines?
I was you know what?
So much of it to begin with.
We don't need
his match with Gabe Kid. He clearly doesn't need the 2.
I don't I've had this beef with my intestines for quite some time. I don't understand why I need them to circumnavigate the globe twice and be sitting in there. Does it really need to take that long for my food to be digested and distributed through my body?
Look, I have celiac disease, so I have nothing but contempt for my intestines.
I have angry guts also.
Yeah, Nikki has IBS,
we all hate our own guts appropriately.
Hate it.
I perpetually tell people how much I hate my own guts because they are freaking horrible, and I want to punch them in them.
Yeah.
So I get it.
They never agree with me.
I do have empathy for Kenny's situation.
So how long do you think this match goes? Do you think they go 45 minutes? Do you think they go an hour? You think they go 25? Think it goes to how long do you think they go?
I don't know. I think Okada, I guess remember when we were kids and Gorilla Monsoon would always joke about Greg the Hammer Valentine, how he doesn't get warmed up until at least 20 minutes into the match. Like, I think that's a little bit of a gag. I think that's really true about Kazuchika Okada. I think he needs like a long time to really get into the flow of his matches. Wow. And I know Kenny will do nothing but apparently my house is on fire. Hopefully my wife's able to put it out. I think that it's going to be I need to go find out if my house is on fire. Give me 1 second. I'll be back.
Okay.
Now you want to know the funny? Okay. The funniest part about that is mine went off earlier, and I had the same thing. And my husband texted me from the other room. It was like, "It's okay. I'm just seasoning the pan." I thought it was mine going off again.
I'm sure my wife's making the kid breakfast or something like that. So whatever. We're talking. I think that it'll be at least 45. I think
that was my guess.
Kind of where we landed last week.
Because it sounds. Even though I personally, if I was booking this show, I would put them on last. I think they're doing Mox Hangman last because there's 98 million run-ins probably coming. So I assume. Listen, it's going to be like House of Torture.
You're right.
And so that's why I was like, do they give them 45 minutes before that? I mean, I would think so. Like you kind of, You would almost should reverse it and let them let Mox and Hangman have all their run-ins, and then like how the palate cleanser be Okada.
I don't
doing.
I don't disagree with you in theory, but Tony's a traditionalist,
Yeah.
and that I believe that and all but like 2 AEW pay-per-views. I think bacon actually. Can you smell what JD's kid is cooking? I smell bacon, so I think that's what he's working on.
Oh, there you go.
I think that the show typically always closes with the title, right? And it's been like all but like three pay-per-views, I think, over the last 6 years that it hasn't closed with the title.
I think you could make the exception for Omega Okada, and they technically do have a title, and they're trying to make this title equal to the new unified one. You know, that's what Tony says, like clear. But
he says a lot of things.
I know. I was like, so technically,
he sure does.
I was like, technically, like you could make, if you're gonna ever make an exception for the world title not main eventing, Omega Okada 5 is that exception. But because of how they book the Death Riders, and
he's been holding that belt hostage, they have to end with the belt.
That and Hangman's
gonna
probably have lots of help to even the score with Death Rider. So I think they're going to book it as the main event because of that.
I think they could have.
And I guess you were going to send the crowd home. Hopefully, send them home happy with Hangman winning.
I think they could have closed early. I forget what show it was earlier this year when it was Mariah May and Toni Storm for the title. I think they could have closed with that.
They should have.
You know, in retrospect, I'm glad they didn't because she left, right? Because
that's not Toni Storm's fault.
No, not her fault at all.
Fans of women's wrestling, it's not our fault that she chose to leave. We should not be punished for that. And also, it's Tony Khan's fault for for being year 6 and we still haven't had women main event a pay-per-view. That's on him. He put himself in that situation by not booking the women to main event a pay-per-view before now.
So here's a question: Could you close with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné, which is the biggest winning women's match they can offer?
They not today because of what else they've booked with it. Mel had a theory that potentially they have women main event All Out.
Oh, they could do that. Yeah.
So potentially it's got to happen this year though. And so where do you do it? You're not going to do it at Forbidden Door. Then you've got All Out. Then you've got Wrestle Dream, which probably won't do it there. Then you've got Full Gear, and then you've got World's End. Yeah, so all out, and yes, All Out's in Toronto, but like I think that's where it's going to have to be. But it has to be this year. He's running out of excuses. He's running out of time.
I kind of like Toni Storm embracing this Carmen Sandiego phase of her career.
Yeah, me too.
So
I mean, if Mercedes wins tonight, you could make the argument that the Athena Mercedes main event ends up on the All In pay-per-view. Or All Out, I mean, pay-per-view.
I don't think they're going to do Athena that fast. Because because Athena has she's got to get to her 1,000 days.
Yeah, her 1,000 days.
She will, because All In is September the 20th, and Death by Four Dishonor is September the 5th.
The problem with Athena in that spot is that if you're not following Ring of Honor, which I don't think Ring of Honor is a real promotion, I think it's a psyop presented by everybody. It's a trick. You don't know.
People have been begging for Athena to be on TV, and it's only gotten louder since Mercedes. But it's because they're trying to get her to the 1,000 days. But she has been. She's been on Collision and Dynamite the last few weeks. She's been wrestling.
Weeks, for sure. Yeah. But it's almost like
Tony's fault again.
No argument there. But it's like they haven't done enough with her. Like they're just putting her on. It's almost like they're booking Athena almost like they booked women back in like the 70s, right? They just show up with the title like this person's had it for 1,000 days, and fans are like, oh, okay, and I'm just supposed to accept that.
I've seen all of those matches, so I know she has. I have seen every single one of her matches.
I'm talking about all the dorks that just watch regular Dynamite who haven't gotten to see that because
again, Ring of Honor
Goldberg streak.
He's not talking about the 12 of you who watch. He's talking about the rest.
I'm trying to tell you, this is not a Goldberg streak. It's a streak that actually exists. Like it's not. We don't make it up every show.
Yeah, Sam and the other 11 people who watch. So
the other 11 people. I always like the Sid Vicious streak when they were making fun of Goldberg, and he would come out and goes, Sid is 137-0 right now. Like they were making fun of their own stuff. That was, I don't know why that just popped in there. That was great.
I like when people hang lanterns.
So what do you think? So what do you think about that one? Actually, now that we're on that subject, Toni Storm and Mercedes. What do we think about this one?
I think it's gonna be. I think that it should have been. I mean, I think Mercedes and Tony is gonna be great. It should have been Mercedes and Athena. I will die on that hill. That should be the match we're getting tonight. Mercedes and Tony should have been later, and it should be the first time they're doing it. Should be the main event. But since Tony Khan doesn't think like that, I think the match is going to be great. And I think that Mercedes wins. I know people don't want 2 titles on her, both of the women's title. I don't think if she wins tonight, I think she will hold the TBS title till she gets to 501 days. She's going to break Jade Cargill's record. They don't want her having that anymore. And so they're going to have Mercedes break it, and then Mercedes will drop the title, and she'll just have the world title, and then somebody else, they'll put the TBS championship. Ideally, I don't think they'll do it on Athena this fast. I think eventually Athena will have it. But I think that, and then you've got, because I love Toni Storm, but you have got to get that title away from her. We're getting into Roman Reigns territory. She's, other than the months that Mariah was champion, Toni has had that title for like 2 years. Like, it's time to get that title. Oh, and again, I love time with Toni Storm. Part of me wants her to hold that title forever. But on the other hand, like, we got to start moving it. It's got to start getting to other women.
I'm going to push back because it's what I do. Toni is one of the most over people in the company, regardless. So I mean, I'm of the mind that your belt should be on the people that are drawing you the most, that make the biggest difference on the show as far as like business metrics go. Toni matters, right? And I get a lot of flack from my Voices of Wrestling guys, and have for a long time, because they were poo-pooing what Toni was doing 2 years ago. And I was saying, hey man, this shit's working. Like, and they were like, no, the crowd isn't that into it. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are listening to. Like, I'm like, I could tell you right now, this shit is working. And I was right. So I have a hot take. I do think Mercedes goes over here. And I truly think that if this match is really, really good, if they're able to do what I truly think these 2 women can do, I think you have a pay-per-view rematch main event. Like, I think that the rematch, not even necessarily at All Out. I think you could main event that with like Ed Wrestle Dynasty, or not Forbidden Door necessarily.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think it's Forbidden Door. I think that's why All Out is after Forbidden Door. So that's why.
But like, you could do Revolution, you could do at World's End. Like, there's a lot of opportunities you can do, and you don't have to go back to it right away. Like, I think maybe you take a note from what they did with the Mariah storyline, where you take Toni off TV for maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months even. Toni loves doing it. They love taking people off TV for long stretches of time.
And then she was she was wrestling in other places. So she was like she was on sabbatical from AEW, but she was still wrestling in like Japan and in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. And I think you can do that, and you let it simmer a bit, because I think that people have forgotten that rematches can draw big houses. And that is the history of pro wrestling, is that it's usually the second time around where you really make that money. Right. So I think Mercedes going over here is the move, because I do agree Toni has been on top for too long. The problem is Toni eats up so much oxygen when she's on TV, because she outshines the vast majority of not just the women's roster, but the overall roster,
everyone,
with her personality. Like, the woman just like consumes oxygen when she's on screen. Like, she's
remarkably
charismatic. Like, it's astounding how much the WWE dropped the ball with her. So you have to take her off TV for a minute, right?
Yes. Make people want her. Yeah. That's really smart.
And then, like, you have to build it back. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's my idea.
That's smart thinking, honestly, because withholding that makes people want it more. So when she comes back, it'll be insanity.
Right, and then you've also, depending on when she comes back, it also could be when Mercedes is, because Mercedes is, when she starts losing all of these titles, she's going to start crashing out, and it's going to be fun.
So here's, I agree with you, by the way, and I think Mercedes would love that.
I think that was the story the whole time. Honestly.
Yeah, I think that's Mercedes too. Then you have the slow breaking of Mercedes Moné. I think she would eat that. I think Mercedes would eat that shit up. I think that you have. Eventually, I love Sam's idea. You go back to Athena and Mercedes, and now you let Mercedes take that Ring of Honor title, and then like have a good feud out of that. And then when she's like at her absolute zenith, when she's got all these, like, she's got so many belts, like she's making Ultimo Dragon look ridiculous.
Right.
Then Tony comes back, and then you go that way, and then the downfall, of Mercedes when it starts at that point. And then I think maybe you have Billy Stark to take that ROH title off of her.
Yeah, because that's where it seems
baby,
to be
that's
going,
good
was
booking.
That's good booking.
Tony Khan,
Almost like it's almost like you tell stories for a
free.
living.
Listen to all these free ideas we're giving you. Yes.
You're welcome.
Let us help you book your women's division.
Oh, that'd be a terrible idea. Just don't let me nowhere near it.
I prefer commentating, just like with my opinion and enjoying it still, because I've thought about it a few times and I'm like, no, because if I ever worked thin air, I would stop liking it, and I don't want to stop liking it.
I agree.
That's even why I backed off of listening to. Largely, I stopped reading a bunch of external stuff, and I stopped listening to most of the other podcasts. I like listening to our clips. I like listening to the funny things that happen. That Jeff and Paul clip of Paul giving the answer on a Tony Khan money. That clip is hilarious. It's on it's here on the Fight Game Media. It's Jeff asked Paul a question, and Paul answered in the style of Tony Khan, and he nailed it, and it was hilarious.
Great.
So check that. It's very, very funny. It's a very hilarious 5-minute watch. It will pop you, or you have no funny bone.
I'm excited for that match because I think it's going to be a really good match. You think it's going to be a women's match of the year?
It could be.
I think it could be too.
I think it's going to be. I think it's potentially going to be in the running, and I love the possibility because it should be. That means that it's coming full circle. The women's division in AEW has really been doing a lot.
They're going to keep forcing Tony's hand until he main events them, because it's like, because they're going to, at that point, it's not going to be. It's because they're not going to be in the main event because they just need to do a women's main event. It's going to be because they have forced Tony's hand with how
it'll be better that way.
Which again is why the Hollywood ending, it was forcing his hand, and then he didn't do it, and then we got that shitty main event with Jon Moxley, and then they redid it. They're like, "Ooh, everybody hated that main event. Let's go do that." Then on Dynamite, they're like, "Let's do this 60-minute match that ended up being great." And if Revolution had ended with that, or that had been on there and they had ended with Hollywood ending, Revolution would have been an all-timer, and it's still a great pay-per-view. I still love it despite that main event match.
I don't disagree with you. However, the argument that I'll put is that match drew.
True.
That match drew a nice pay-per-view buy rate. That match sold a lot of tickets, and people hate on it, but business-wise, it worked for AEW. And again, the end result was not great, but it got asses in the seats, and it got people watching.
It ended with Swerve. Yes, but the main event itself sucked.
No argument. No, but I mean, let me go. It's like the old WW. Well, it's like the old WWF thing, right? You have the Hulk Hogan match that draws a house, and everybody goes, "Oh, well, that was a thing that we watched." But I mean, it's what got people excited, and for some reason, Copeland and Moxley did something, and it sold a lot of tickets, and it sold a lot of pay-per-views, and I still am not quite sure why, but it drew. It worked. And I agree with you. That would have been a better, for visually speaking and for the aesthetics of the show, that's a much better ending. But the main event actually drew the house. So, take that for what you will.
I mean, you're right, but yes, whatever. I know you're right, though. You're right. Yes, you are correct. Sari was, she was, no, it wasn't Sari. It was Shuri who was announced last night.
I get them confused. Which one is which?
Shuri is
Shuri the one that's Tokyo Joshi Pro?
Yes, I believe. I
get them confused.
I know she's taken out. She just announced she was taking a hiatus 2 weeks ago, and then last night during Supercard, they did a little vignette for her. I believe she is going to be in the Gauntlet, and that is Athena's dream match. Athena has been begging to wrestle her, and I think they basically brought her in for Athena. But I believe she is supposed to be in the Gauntlet. And after the pay-per-view last night, Athena, there was a vignette aired of Athena retaining after she retained, and she has entered the Gauntlet match. She will, because Tony kept saying if her number is called, she'll be in the match. Well, apparently her number has been called because she declared last night that she will be in the Gauntlet match today. So she will be in it.
Excuse me. I like these casino gauntlet matches because of the idea that it could end at any point. Like
Yes.
it
And
really
they're
is.
really
It's really
selling that point.
Yes, and but I liked it. That's what makes like the Royal Rumble is without a doubt like the most fascinating and like coolest gimmick match that was created from the 1980s on. Right? Like
Yeah.
it works in
Right.
concept. And there's been a million spin-offs of the Royal Rumble, and they're all lesser than. But I think this casino
Right.
gauntlet match takes that same inspiration, but the idea that it could end at any given moment
Mhm.
makes it cool. And they have done that. They have had matches that have just ended, right?
Yeah.
So like you do
Right.
know that they have that ability to just it can end at any given moment. So I think that's a really cool thing for them. So I like Tony pushing it. It's if it never gets called, you know, like
Yeah.
because you don't know.
And
it could
even
end at
like
any
well,
given
you've got
moment.
you have Mark Briscoe and MJF have been playing like, you know, this match could end before Mystico even gets out there. And then even Chris
Mhm.
was on commentary and she was like, it could end, you know, because Megan Bain is number 2. She was like, it could end, you know, I could pin Megan Bain and, you know, before anybody could even get out there. So they both men and women, the people have been, you know, pushing that it could end at any time. It could end at any time. And, you know, you're making all these, who's going to be in it?
Which
Who
gives
could
it-
anybody return? And yeah, it makes it fun.
Which gives it such a unique way to promote it, right? You get to promote the match like a singles match, right? Because I looked at the match graphics. Like the casino women's match is Chris and Penelope Ford. That's the match graphic. But like there's a million
Megan.
other people that can get involved. So you can sell it as a singles match, but it's got that added caveat of what else is going to happen. And same with the Briscoe. It's Briscoe and MJF in the match graphic
And
with
then
Mystico looming overhead. MJF,
right. Yes. Which especially because of the story, because obviously Mystico and MJF had the match at Grand Slam Mexico, but then Mystico was wrestling in MLW and MJF showed up and attacked him at the MLW show. So now you have like that little, you know, that factor into
Did they
it.
ever address that on Dynamite?
No, I don't. Well,
So
they didn't
weird.
show video. They didn't show video of it. I don't know. I can't remember if it was ever addressed on commentary. But I
So
know
weird.
that you would think that they would, and you'd be like, oh, you know, they had this little run in at an indie show, and especially, I mean, you can say it's not like MLW is a taboo thing, especially because most people know that's where MJF came from.
Right. It just
Like
I don't know.
It's
I know.
not
I
a
know.
secret
Court can-
WWE.
No, but I mean, like that's a weird. I know court can be weird with things sometimes, but you think like when you have that kind of reveal moment, you'd want to
Right.
get that on, unless maybe they didn't do it to help court. I don't know. Like I'd love to know the reason why that footage wasn't shown on Dynamite.
Yeah,
I
because the
assumed it
footage
would
was
be
really
odd.
cool. Like
It was. They shot it great.
Yes, I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know. I knew that MJF had shown up, but I didn't know where. And then I just happened to watch a clip of, and I was like, "Oh, it's Mystico!" And then he's getting attacked, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" So this was the MJF, and I was like, "This was really well done." Yeah, they should have followed up on that.
It was.
It was really well.
What are your
done.
thoughts on the TNT match?
Kyle Fletcher's winning.
Adam Cole and Fletcher. What do you think about that? What do we think about this one?
Yeah, I hope it's Fletcher. It needs to be Fletcher.
Yeah, I agree. I don't care.
No, I do.
I find that this is like I find this so weird. Adam, do you really care about who wins this match?
I do because I cover Collision every Saturday because I have to. I do live coverage, so
Fair.
I watch this. I've been watching this.
Ah.
I've been watching this
Nope.
feud for. You know, I've watched it play out, so I do care about this, and I
Sure.
very much care about. Kyle Fletcher is amazing, and now is the time to belt
There
him.
we go.
He is
I think
fantastic.
he's gonna be.
I agree.
I think he'll be a world champion in 2027.
I don't disagree with that. I think Kyle Fletcher's really proven to be pretty goddamn good. Like, and he's got this. I think he's deceptively large. I don't think people realized how big Kyle Fletcher was.
And
this
he
week.
has cut so much, like because of the way he's like the things that he's done for his body, like it's insane. And like I was telling, like it's like I love this for Kyle Fletcher, and he's incredible. But also, like the tag team division desperately needs Aussie Open. Like they need. Oh, they're tag, especially like so. Like tomorrow, GYV will be at DPW's Tag Team Festival, and Nikki and I were talking about it. We're like, why the hell is GYV like not on TV? Like, what is Tony doing?
That's a great question. I forget that they're signed sometimes.
They've
had
too,
such a nothing run.
And I'm
and
randomly
it's like, oh, that's right. These guys are here. I forgot.
Well, part of me like hope maybe Adam Cole can lose and they just put Future Shock back together with him and Kyle O'Reilly, because I just feel like Adam Cole, for a guy that main evented this show 2 years ago, Like he's so flat right now. You
Yeah,
know?
I think that's why they're trying to hurry up and get this title off of him, because it's just not working for
I
whatever
think
reason.
that coming back from some of those injuries may have
Well, like
affected
he's
him
like
more
in
than
the
we
ring,
think.
hugely.
like, but in the ring he's great, especially with like and I think he just has such a much better dynamic with Paragon, like when he's in there with Roddy and or
Yes.
Kyle. I think he's just he at this point, Adam Cole just may have to be a tag team wrestler and or trios wrestler. I think this is
The
he's
dude's
not a
been
bad
through a
singles
lot
wrestler
in the
that
last
I
2
feel
years.
like he's at his best when he's with them. And he is not that because he's had some really great singles matches here since he's been back, but I feel like that that's his comfort zone, and honestly, the tag / trios, they need that more than they need Adam Cole as a singles wrestler. Especially when you've got Kyle Fletcher, you've got Will Ospreay, you've got Omega, you've got Okada, you've got all of these singles wrestlers, you've got Takeshita.
I agree.
At this point,
that
Adam
dude has
Cole
been through a lot in the last few years.
Oh, 100%.
Injuries, personal, just everything. I mean, it's understandable that if he would be okay being back in his, like you said, comfort zone with his people that he knows well. That, I mean, a lot of them all came over to AEW as dominoes. They came together because they've been friends for so long.
Yeah.
And I think that too, like there's so much history, you know, like I said, Future Shock with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. You could go back to that as this Paragon thing, making them the tag team. And same with Roderick Strong. Like I think that group kind of needs a little something. You know, it's a little flat. So I think that TNT run it's just not quite clicking with Adam Cole. So put that belt on a heel.
Yeah,
you know, a young heel
and I
too.
think it's especially like with and you've got. I think that also now is the time to do it because you're about to lose Takeshita to the G1, and he's going to be gone for a little bit. I keep talking about how Kyle and Takeshita are on these parallel paths, and they're very similar in what they're doing, and it makes sense. Like as much as I love seeing Takeshita on my TV every week, I think that it would benefit him more to spend a lot more time in Japan, in New Japan, and let kind of Kyle do his thing, so that they're not constantly over. You know, they're not necessarily competing with each other because they're a work married couple, but like they're they're doing the exact same thing, and they're gonna like I don't know. I just feel like it would benefit them more to have Takeshita go to Japan for a while.
It's
like,
so
longer than the G1. Like
it's so interesting you say that. I was talking to my buddy Joe Lanza about this, and they were talking about how a lot of the American fans want to see more Takeshita, not only in New Japan but like leading New Japan, because New Japan's in frankly dire straits right now.
Yeah,
the issue comes in there. Now this is speculation, but Takeshita not really wanting to be in Japan right now.
Yeah,
like both him and Yuka are living here in the US and want to have life here.
Sure.
So like, and that kind of creates a problem with New Japan getting behind a guy who isn't really theirs. And
but
like,
he's also contracted with DDT. He has 3 contracts right now.
Correct. Another issue, another reason why you don't want and this is Japanese politics and pro wrestling.
Sure.
You don't really want to put a DDT guy on top of your promotion long term.
I mean,
now,
Takeshita, I think, would be the exception to the rule.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I agree with you.
I'm with JD, but Japanese politics and business.
Oh no, I get it. They're just and this
probably not. That goes back to like Baba
with everything else that is happening in New Japan right now. They can't keep people because they can't afford them,
correct.
And so they're losing people. And then they're not building, they're either not ascending as quickly as they think, or the way that their booking is being handled is like, there's only, I mean, and I love Zack Sabre Jr. so much. And I don't have a problem with him being champion, but like at some point, Zack Sabre Jr. is not going to be there. What are you, I mean, I say that, but watch Zack Sabre Jr. is going to wrestle till he's 60 years old, like Suzuki, and he'll be there forever. And that argument doesn't work.
The problem, the issues we've seen there is that I think Gato's booking has become very stale, but at the same time, I think that the entire generation that came up has been remarkably disappointing. Like none of them have been able to take that step. And you could argue that, well, they never tried to take that step with any of them. But at the same time, who is the guy? Like, who is the guy that we're like, that should be the guy to lead New Japan right now? They're not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I think there was a lot of talk about that initially, but I mean, like, specifically in the ring, I don't think he's ever shown, like,
For
he's
me,
shown
he
charisma outside the ring. In the ring, I don't know, man. And I think that his book, there's a reason why booking wise, they don't quite get behind him as much as we thought they would.
I mean, I guess that's fair, but also I have lost a lot of faith in what Ghetto does with his booking. So I don't know how much of it is Suji and how much of it is Ghetto, and maybe it's just both at the same time, and that's why it's coming out the way that it's coming. Because like you've even got like Shooter has not lived up to, like, I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people do, but he's not living up to the hype that we thought when he first, especially when he was first working with John Moxley, then he was doing the stuff with Shibata, and just I feel like, not that he still can't, because I mean, look at Yoshihashi. Who knew that Yoshihashi was in there? It took him like 10 years to get there, and they don't have time to wait for Shooter to figure that out.
Yeah, but Yoshihashi's not a top guy, and like this stuff.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
They started really pushing Umino, not really pushing, but they really kind of started setting up as you thinking Umino was the next guy 6 years ago.
Right.
Like, and it's never come close. I mean, this guy main evented a Tokyo Dome show, and we're still like, like,
exactly.
Because his performances are so like it just he's a guy that has it, like, has been literally handed the ball. And it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is a ball, and doesn't really. He's almost. It's, you know what it really is. It's like that kid whose dad has a company, right? And like his whole life, he's been expected to run this company, and then it's his turn. And he's like, I really don't want to do this, and he's doing the job, but it feels like he's just wrestling because that's what he's been programmed to do his whole life, not because he loves it. And I just find that like none of those guys have been like jump off the page from the moment, which is why they're going out and signing Aaron Wolf, who's a legitimate star over in Japan, who maybe he can be a pro wrestler, but I mean, this is how desperate they are right now.
Right. I mean, yeah, Fujita may be one of the closest they've got right now.
Yeah, but again, like,
he's got a lot of potential. But you have to be able to exploit.
But he's 22 years old, and he's still, even though he's doing all these great things, he's still got some. They still need to develop him a bit more. But I don't know if they're going to develop him the way that they should with the way that Ghetto is booking things. But yeah, exactly. So Crash says not bought on this all in on Aaron Wolf, but we'll see. Sounds like the like Latter Day Inoki booking with MMA. Roll the dice.
Here's the deal. Let's talk about Aaron Wolf a little bit, because
you probably know. I don't know much about Aaron at all.
Aaron Wolf is a legitimate crossover star in Japan. Aaron Wolf was won the Tokyo Olympics in judo in 2021, the 2020 games in 2021. He is a legitimate star over there. He goes on talk shows. He is remarkably charismatic. He is a guy who people expect to be in the media. And shocked people when he signed with New Japan. Actually, it wasn't really shocking. It shocks people here because they don't realize this guy loves pro wrestling.
We don't know anything about him. Yeah.
Right. But in Japan, they do know about him. As I see a lot of people who don't understand Japanese media being like, ugh, Gable Steveson. And it's not like that at all over there.
God.
Like Aaron Wolf,
Gable.
And I told our buddy Garrett this long ago about Gable, that it wasn't going to work. Aaron Wolf, it'd be like, well, it sounds like a roll of dice Inoki thing. No, Aaron Wolf wants to do this, right? And this is people like, oh, later day Inoki booking. Dude, this is Inoki booking from the jump. And Inoki made a lot of money off people who had legitimate backgrounds who came in and became professional wrestlers, right? And again, this is America, where we think the idea of people having like amateur backgrounds and like real sports backgrounds is a bad thing, because we like our pretend wrestlers. We like our play guys who. That's why Chad
Gable wears a lucha mask.
Chad Gable's the fucking man. We will not
he
speak.
He is. No, I love him. No, I love that.
We love Chad Gable. We do not like Chad Gable's
I don't love
booking.
What they do to him, and why I don't know why they do the things that they do to him.
Because they can, and he makes it work with whatever they throw at him.
And now he's hurt, and they put that mask on.
They're making it the machines. I don't want to get into that. But the thing with Aaron Wolf is
Chad Gable deserves better, is my point.
I agree with you 100%. The thing about Aaron Wolf, and again, this is an American thing, is Americans don't understand Japanese media. Like, it's a foreign country. We don't understand, one, how big judo is in Japan. Two, that this is a guy who your mom knows. Your mom, like a mom in Japan, in Tokyo, watching TV, is familiar with Aaron Wolf.
Yeah.
right? This is a guy who's getting a top-notch treatment who, if he's any
They
decent
had
in
a
this at
breaking
all,
news
could be
press
good.
conference to
They
announce
did.
his signing. Like, I
Right.
had no clue, and I still didn't get it. Like, when I saw that they signed him, and I was like, I don't know why they did it with I mean, clearly I knew I was like, he's clearly important to them to break that news at 2:00 in the morning here. But they had a whole last press, like, they broke in, like, did like a last minute. Like, I thought something was wrong because it
It's
was the last minute.
this is a lot more akin to WWF signing Kurt Angle in 1998.
Okay.
Except than it is with like Gable Steveson. And they would not be making a big deal about this had they not been working on this. Now, again, in Japan, a lot of these guys have backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yuji Nagata is legit. Like,
Right.
and he's out there training people who are
Mhm.
wrestling. By the way, the Japanese freestyle program right now is fantastic. They're doing an amazing
Did
job.
was it Nagata that was training Oleg, Bolton Oleg?
Yeah.
It was Nagata trained him, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
And Nagata's one of the top trainers there. So Nagata, by the way, Nagata's also training Aaron Wolf right now. So I mean, like this is a guy, like he's been friend. Like let put it this way, Aaron Wolf called Kazuchika Okada because they're friends and was like, "What do you think, man?" And Okada's like, "You got to get in that New Japan JoJo."
Yeah. I did see that.
Because he was getting offers all over the place because he's a star and he's big and athletic and speaks speaks English and Japanese because he's his dad's an English teacher in Japan and his mom is Japanese. Like that is like if you look at Aaron Wolf, you're like, it's a handsome dude. Like this is a guy who has something. Now, is it going to work? I don't know, but they're not going to be they weren't in this. They're in a spot where they need to have a guy. They don't have a star right now. They've lost all their stars. So this is what Inoki would do, is you bring in a star. So you're not wrong.
And they've also set him up where like he is debuting on the Wrestle Kingdom that Tanahashi is having his final match on. Like that's
no pressure.
No pressure at all. Because they know people who kind of fell out of wrestling are gonna tune in to watch Tanahashi's final match. So they put this man for his debut, and he even said he's like, I know that I have a lot of work to do, and I'm getting like, and he was like in the dojo like immediately getting prepared for this debut match on January 4th next year. Like,
what's nice about having a judo background is that one of the first thing you learn in judo is how to break fall, and break fall is bumping. It's the exact same thing. It's tucking the chin. So this is a guy who's going to know how to take stuff right away. So it's all going to be, and this man is going to know how to work. He's an elite level athlete. So the question is,
think they'll put him in the ring with?
I have no idea. If I was,
who do you put his debut match against? Because like, it's gotta be somebody that can lose, but it's also gotta be somebody that's gonna make him look legit too. Like, of course, I mean, you're not gonna put him in there with like Yujiro. Like,
honestly, if I am them and I want this guy to look good and be taken care of, I wouldn't put him with old Bolton. I would put him in there with Goto. Don't put him with Zach. Zach works weird. Like let the guy get comfortable before you start making him do weird Zack Sabre shit.
Stuff.
Like I would put there in with Goto. Goto's a pro. Goto has fantastic matches with everybody. Goto takes care of people. Like the answer, like Yuji Nagata
gonna be in Street Fighter. You've got him with a movie star now.
Yeah. So I would honestly, the logical thing would be put him in there with Yuji Nagata, but that's too obvious. So I would say Goto. That's what I would do personally. I don't know.
We have.
Fortunately, Chris Samsa was explaining this all to us in the Discord about why it was.
Takagi would be fun.
Yeah, I would like to see
that. You have, and Takagi can take a loss to someone like that.
Yeah.
Shingo can't. Here's the thing with Shingo. I think Shingo's too valuable right now. I think Shingo is a guy they should actually try to be pushing at the top of the company right now because he can do it. Like, I don't know who the Goto thing drew. Goto drew as champ. I think the only reason Zach is champ again is because Goto got hurt, and they had to.
And then, well, apparently now they're saying that the injury wasn't legit. It's so he could go make this movie. He's got cast in Street Fighter with Cody Rhodes and Roman and Reigns. And so now they're not sure. So now they don't know that the injury was even legit. They think that it may have been to get the title off him so that he can go to this movie.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So
I mean, I've heard both. I don't know for sure, but that's what one of the theories is, that the injury was not real.
What's weird about that is Goto was drawing. The houses were up across the country.
Yeah.
Right. Goto's a draw, brother. That's true, man. Goto was doing great work as champ. So and he had a goodwill with the crowd, and it was working. And Zach didn't draw. So like it's interesting to me. I would be surprised if Zach still has the belt going into Wrestle Kingdom. But I mean, I don't know. Goto's booking has been so like, I mean, I don't know. I guess we just waiting for
I think he kind of had to fall back into who can I put. Goto's got to leave this title unexpectedly. Like, was Zach the plan the whole time to drop the title back to, or is it he got cast in this movie? He's going to be gone for a little bit. Zach is our old reliable. He's like, because AEW always falls back on Mox when they need somebody.
Yes.
So it's like Ghetto's like, all right, Zach is that guy. And now he's heel. He's been pulling the heel stuff lately, and he's just like, I'm going to lean into being a prick, which is great because
he's good at it.
Because Zach is an incredible heel. And I was here for Summer of Saber last year when he was babyface. I am here for Summer of Saber as a joke. Everything okay?
Yeah, I just got.
You gotta leave.
They're pulling the righty out. I gotta.
All right.
I'm getting pulled out of the bullpen right now. I think,
okay,
no worries.
I think the house might actually be on fire this time.
Okay, well,
I want to thank you guys for having me on. I just love talking wrestling with you two. You're the best.
You are more than welcome to come back anytime. You don't have to come just to plug anything. You're more than welcome.
If you just feel like having a freelance, having fun on a podcast, we're your ladies. So we love having time.
You have an open invitation.
I appreciate you two. You two are. We need more people like the two of you. And I hate using the phrase "in this space." It sounds so freaking
It's
lame.
true though.
But there needs to be what you guys are doing. You're trailblazing. You know, you're two smart wrestling fan women talking about this stuff, and I love listening to the two of you. And there's no agendas, and it's just smart wrestling talk. And I appreciate both of your friendship, and you're great at what you do, and I admire the two of you greatly.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Really sweet. Thank you. We'll be sharing this all over. It was really great to have you.
Killing the Town launches a week from Tuesday, live on Kickstarter. It's a supernatural thriller set in the world of 80s professional wrestling. If you like pro wrestling, if you like the inside smarky stuff, if you like monsters, if you like deep, in-depth storytelling, and if you like a short book that you can read pretty quick, this is going to be the book for you. We launch next Tuesday. Can't say enough good things about it. Can't say enough good things about the two of you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, JD. Truly.
Cool.
All right.
All right, bye.
It took your what?
Yes. So thank you to JD for just taking the time and for chatting with us and kind of taking over a little bit. That was fun.
No, I love it. I love that when he's
definitely fallen into his old, and I love it. He's fallen into his old.
He was all worried he was going to be bummed. Like he's like, I may suck at this. It's like, no, you're great.
You're right in it. No, I loved it. It was great. We enjoyed having JD too. And before we kind of get into, we've talked about some of the matches, so I guess we'll just we'll pick up.
Yeah, but real quick, I want to do this real quick because this is a very exciting announcement that we have, and since we're talking about Kickstarters, well, the fine gentleman who designed our Powerbombshells logo, as you know, you guys have heard me talk about him. I'm sporting a one rad tee myself here today, and so the good fella, the good brother, and our club over at One Rad Tee, and I and Sam have been doing some coordinating, and since, like JD said, we are not in the business of doing t-shirts. But our friends over at One Red Tee are in the business of doing t-shirts, and they have been so kind as to host. And I sent this to JD's his co-host there, Mike Gilbert, and got a full capitals response. It's about time. That's right, folks. We are launching our own t-shirt. You can get it in 3 variation colors. It is right here. It's going to be on the One Rad Tee. It's actually already live. So
Yes.
I will pop
You
that
can
up
go,
here.
you can go right now if you want to oneradtea.com and buy your own Powerbombshells t-shirt.
And that's going to be the official home of the Powerbombshells t-shirt. And it's especially because Kyle does a lot of awesome work. And he started out doing Kickstarters, much like JD does. And as the years went on, all of the people that were supporting those Kickstarters a long time, we all became friends. And Kyle said, I really just want to start a whole club where we all talk to each other. And that's where our Discord came from. So we have a One Red Club. You can join. There's Patreon features to it where you get the yearly, instead of doing the Kickstarter, he does a yearly shirt that's part of like some of the tiers. If you're one of the tiers, you get early access. If you're one of the tiers, you just get the t-shirt. I'm obviously not, you guys can do whatever you want. But the idea here is that our cool stuff is here, but there's a lot of other cool stuff here. And it's a local person. This money is going into Children Who I Love's college funds. So this is another situation where it's all part of our community. And so you can finally own it. Does not say honorary broad on it because that is obviously something that, Sam and I take very, very seriously.
It is. That's not a name that just anybody gets to have.
And the price point's a little higher, so we'll talk about that in the future. But we're going to start off with this, and if you guys want to grab one, they're $15. I don't know what the shipping situation is, but what's great about this is he's able to ship everywhere. So you folks across the pond who are always here, we love you so much. If you're interested, you can also pick one up.
Yes,
so
it is available globally.
So and we're really super grateful to Kyle and One Rad Tea for doing this for us.
100%.
And they are helping us out because there will be a fraction of this will be going back into our show as well. So It's not in a vacuum. This is a crossover coordination where we are partnering with them to help everyone. Because just like JD said, Sam and I really like doing this for the right reasons and because we want to bring up important stuff. And there's plenty of hating in this space and plenty of yahoos who have thoughts and feels about things. And we just like doing our thing. But
we do.
So yeah, let's do the thing.
Yeah, and so what I was going to say before was we'll remind you again, but also because we know the pre-show is starting in 6 minutes, and so but we will. So if you have to bounce, we understand. If you're going to go ahead and watch their pre-show, totally understandable. But come back after All In is over, and come back to this channel because Jeremy will be hosting a post show, and I believe there's going to be some rotating guests tonight. And then also, if you are a WWE fan and you want to catch the post show, the Wrap will also be live. They will be covering both the NXT show and Saturday night's main event because AEW is being counterbooked. But because they are the WWE show, they will be watching it. They will be live as well. So you want to catch the Wrap as well. And then tomorrow after Evolution, Garrett will be live on this channel to talk about that. So we have got you covered all weekend long. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, turn on your notifications so that you can see when the other shows are going live. We will also do our best to repost things on our social media so you see it as well. But the easiest thing to do is to subscribe and to hit the notification bell so that you know. But we've got you covered all weekend long. So if you're thinking, is there a Fight Game Media show on? Most likely the answer is yes.
The answer is yes this weekend.
I will not be previewing Evolution. I mean, we did kind of talk about it last week a little bit about the match that had been made, but I will not be catching Evolution live because I will be at a live wrestling show while Evolution is on because my sister Nikki, who is in the chat, her birthday is tomorrow, and so we are going to celebrate by watching live wrestling, independent wrestling.
Happy birthday, Nikki!
So I will be doing that. I will catch Evolution at some point, but you can... even though I'm not previewing Evolution on this channel, is a new show that Garrett's been doing called The Watchback. And episode 2 was myself, Garrett, and Keela from The Wrap. And we talked about the first Evolution, everything that went on there, what stands out in 2025 compared to 2018. And we had a really good conversation about it. So definitely recommend checking that out if you get a chance. But I hope that, as I said, been saying, even though WWE set Evolution up to fail, I hope they have an incredible show.
Me too.
I hope the fans who are in attendance have a blast. I hope that the people watch it, enjoy the show. And I hope that the women involved in that show kill it. Just because they're not getting the support from their bosses and the company they work for in the way that they should, that doesn't mean that they can't kill it. And I hope that they have an incredible show tomorrow, and they deserve better.
Yeah, I hope they kill it. I really do. It's tough. But yes, we will be talking about a lot of those things. Not us specifically, but all of us on the network here. And everyone's very excited, which I love to see. So.
I think the question about when does it start, I think they are... Do they have the show scheduled for 8:30?
I can't look at it right now, but I do believe that Jeremy had it for roughly 8:30. He was going to go Eastern.
Because I believe that the AEW media scrum is scheduled for 8:15. So we know that the show should be over, I assume, by 7:30.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that those stadiums are expensive if you go over time, and that Tony's going to probably have to keep it tight.
That's fair.
These big venues, everybody's hurting right now. So if they have rules about you need to shut it down, I'm pretty sure that Tony's going to make sure he shuts it down.
So I would assume that means
this is the shortest pay-per-view card on paper that he's at least
but
since
the matches are going to be long. I mean, Omega Okada is going to be long.
Well, they've got the death match is going to be long.
Well, and then that too. So I feel like that's why. So I would assume, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I would assume that Jeremy and them are probably going live around probably no later than 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
The best way to know is to go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell.
But they will definitely be live, and on our social media we'll definitely retweet stuff for when they'll be live as well, to try to help you out with that in case you missed. We know there'll be a lot of hype going on. And I think the women will at least get a half an hour too. I do too.
Hope so.
I definitely think so. Mercedes doesn't have short pay-per-view matches. Nothing. Good. Mercedes does not go less. I don't know if Mercedes doesn't go less than 20 minutes on a pay-per-view. Yes. So Nikki has a question for the chat. She has birthday buttons. I told her she should wear it to the wrestling show tomorrow, but she doesn't know if she should, and she asks what the chat thinks.
Here's what I think. Before the chat answers, I'm going to give you my answer, and this is why. When you're wearing a birthday button, that is going to make wrestlers potentially say happy birthday to you, which means that if you have some wrestlers that are at that show that you like, and they notice your birthday buttons, that's going to stand out. You might be being said hi to like buy your tribal chief or something, maybe wishing you a happy birthday.
That's right.
Other strangers might too, and that might feel a little weird, and also it might feel a little weird. And
we've got friends on the card tomorrow, so.
But also, in this situation, you could have somebody that you really like get there to be like, "Oh, happy birthday!" Bob says wear them, so you got the vote from our house, Nikki.
Definite yes.
Okay. I think, and actually now that you talk about it, not only should you wear them, you need to take a picture of you guys and with Nikki wearing the buttons and post them, because
we can do that.
We can see you and we can see that it's Nikki's birthday.
Yes, we maybe we should do
pictures or did not burn.
All right, we'll talk about some of these. This show kind of didn't go in our normal way of doing that, which is fine.
It's all right. We'll just spin through these. We've talked about a few already.
So we'll talk about a few. We'll not spend a whole lot of time. So this match got made last night on Supercard of Honor. That is because Sons of Texas barely retained over the Infantry last night. Trish Adora distracted the ref, and Shane Taylor hit Dustin in the face with one of the titles, busted him open. He was bleeding all over the place. He hit him with not Shane, but I did get a destroyer after that. So thank you for that, Shane Taylor.
Excellent.
And so they barely retained. They were getting beat down after the match. Anthony Go-Go returned. Before Anthony had left, he had been doing some stuff with Shane Taylor Promotion. So he came in, helped Shane Taylor beat them down. Obviously, there's the history with Cody Rhodes. So I'm guessing that's why the Dusty Rhodes stuff happened there. So that of course meant the Von Erichs came out, because I missed the pre-show because I was taking care of my dad's dogs, but I do know the Von Erichs wrestled Premier Athletes on the pre-show, so they were in the building. Obviously, we can't have a show in Texas without the Von Erichs. And apparently, Kerry Von Erich is on some type of a Legends deal, according to his kids. So Kerry Von Erich will be here tonight on the pre-show. But yeah, so Dustin was just like, I'm so tired of you.
Kevin?
Yeah, who did I say, Kerry? I meant Kevin.
I'm like, wait a minute.
It is Kevin Von Erich.
No, that's one of JD's books that you're talking about.
So they had, but yeah, so Dustin said he's tired of the infantry and Shane Taylor Promotions always getting in, doing their nefarious things. So he challenged them across the street at Globe Life Stadium to a shootout. And we were like, a what? And so it turns out it's an 8-man match that will be on the pre-show. Anthony Ogogo's not in it. He's just there with them. And then the Papa Von Erich will also be out there. And this is a way to get all of the Texans on the card. Hopefully that means that Brian Keith is going to be in the gauntlet match, because Brian Keith is from Texas and he needs to be on this card too. And so that's basically what this is. I'm sure it will be amazing because it's Shane Taylor Promotions. And again, like, I don't see how you don't look at that graphic and don't see why they're not all draped in gold.
Sam. Sam's got her.
I feel like obviously all the Texans are gonna win, because
I mean, probably.
That's why last night people were like mad that the infantry didn't win. I was like, a team called Son of Texas is not gonna lose in Texas.
Not with the Von Erich on the team.
Not with Dustin Rhodes
and the Von Erich.
Well, they weren't even. I'm talking about last night in the tag.
Oh, okay. Before that was even a thing.
Yeah, I was like, the infantry is not going to win this,
guys.
Yes. Stokely's great. Stokely is the best part of anything involving FTR, and they should just only let him talk. I don't need to hear the other two. I'm like, that's what Stoke is for. Shut up.
True story.
I've seen this match quite a few. This is the thing that's been happening. This is a collision match, has made it to the 0 hour. The Outrunner or FTR barely beat the Outrunners on episode 100. It was a really good match. It was far too long. I'm glad this is on 0 hour. It'll still probably be far too long. But I hope the Outrunners win.
I hope the Outrunners win. I don't know if they're going to, but I definitely am on the Outrunners for this. That's a heart pick, because it's just, I'm over FTR right now. They're almost like becoming the Jericho of tag. Like, they have to jam themselves on a pay-per-view somehow.
Yep.
But anyway, let's move on from this. Where we go?
And of course, Don Callis' family is everywhere. But wait, is this the correct graphic?
Wait, is it? Uh-oh.
That's not who's in this match.
Uh-oh. I got it wrong.
I don't know. That's not.
Sorry, I was running around trying. This was like the graphic I tried to find at the last minute. All right, well, we're talking about the Big Boom AJ. So who's in it?
Yes, so the match that it actually is Big Boom AJ and the Conglomeration. Kyle O'Reilly is returning to the Conglomeration for one night only. Okay. So it's Kyle O'Reilly, Ishii, and Big Boom AJ. And they are taking on the Don Callis family, and I believe it's Roppongi Vice, and is it Lance Archer? I believe that's who it is. Awesome. And of course, the Rizzler will be there as well. So will AJ. I just blanked on AJ's son's name, but he will also be there. So that is the match. I'm sure. I'm sure that Big Boom AJ's team is going to win.
Yeah, probably, since they did that. So
yes, okay. Thank you, Big Justice. My mind went blank, and I was like, "Oh, what is that kid's name for?" I'm sorry, Big Justice. I did not mean to disrespect you.
It's okay. I don't think he's a fan, but maybe he is, and we don't want to screw it up. So I think we talked about this one.
We did. Kyle Fletcher all the way.
Yep, I'm 100% on the Kyle Fletchers. Did I get this one right?
Yes, this is the 3-way, because somebody has to eat the pin, and I think it's going to be. I think this is somebody. Hurt Syndicate has to lose these titles without being pinned. Is it? And they're gonna. I assume, even though Nick Wayne retained his TV title last night, I still think the patriarchy. I can't tell. My guess is they win tonight so that they go into Toronto to defend those titles. Not that they win the title. I mean, they could lose. They could lose tonight. Hurt Syndicate retains, and then Christian and Nick win in Toronto. But I have a feeling they're probably going into Toronto as the champions. And
I agree with that.
I think that's my guess. I'm just going to go with the patriarchy. I think, unfortunately, Jet Speed is here to take the pin, which is terribly stupid because Jet Speed is incredibly. I mean, I know Hurt Syndicate's over, but Jet Speed's incredibly over, and they've been killing them. And I don't know what the hell they're doing with Jet Speed, but they got to knock it off.
I wish they could have done this with just about any other tag team as far as Jet Speed's concerned. I don't think this is the way to build Speedball and Kevin Knight at all, especially when you see people's reactions to them, whether it's when they're tagging or when they're just wrestling.
And then this is how you repay Kevin Knight, who stepped in for you when Jay White got hurt, and he has killed it in every single thing you've put him in. This is not the answer. I don't know what.
And they had that really bad match this past week that it was kind of unforgivable. I don't like this, but I know what I know, and I'm with you. I think that this is the setup for the patriarchy to have these belts, so that,
and it's also set up for the Hurt Syndicate to not take the pin.
Yeah.
They're
no. They're not.
They're going to keep them. They're going to keep them strong, and so that's why this is a 3-way instead of it being.
They're 2 over
versus Jet Speed like it should have been. They're putting it on the patriarchy.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be with them.
Which is unfortunate, and again, why we need like the Paragon, or we need book GYV. Why are you not booking them? They're under contract. Put them on your damn show. So yes, the women's casino gauntlet match. We know number 1 is Chris Statlander. Number 2 is Megan Bayne. Athena has declared that she is in this. I assume this is where Alex Windsor debuts. This is rumored to be where Isla Dawn is going to debut. I definitely see that being the case if she is AEW bound, like they say. And I believe Shuri is going to be in this. I think that last night when she announced that she was here, I think I assume she'll show up here. Do we get Britt Baker? I don't know, especially when you're adding all these women into it.
I'm still on the Shayna Baszler and Dakota Kai.
I don't think they're not ready. They're not cleared.
Okay.
They're under, we talked about that last week. They're still under, they're not in their 90 days. And Shayna Baszler sounds like she is going to stay. She worked with NXT as a coach, apparently.
So she's going to stay over there then.
Sounds like, Shayna sounds like she's off the table altogether.
Interesting.
How many debuts do you think this match is going to have? See, I think the women's match will have more debuts and the men's will have more returns.
Agree.
Is what I think is going to happen. I feel like, so we're going to have, I would say, at least 3. Alex Windsor, Isla Dawn, and Shuri. I think maybe, well, it wouldn't be a debut, but perhaps we see Miyu Yamashita because she was in the match last night for the interim title, as was Persephone. So I could see the 2 of them. Maybe you put Yuka Sakazaki in this match, which is what I said when this match was announced. I said that I wanted Nyla Rose, I wanted Yuka Sakazaki, and I wanted Emi Sakura because they are some of the.
I was just thinking Nyla Rose. I would love to see her.
I want Nyla to be in this. We talked about it. We also don't know what Texas's rules are against transgender athletes, so that may be a problem for her.
I forgot about all that crap.
It won't be her debut though, because Billy has wrestled on AEW television. She has wrestled in Collision. On Collision a couple of times. I think she also has, I think she's been on Dynamite as well, but I would love to see her in it. Old school returns, I don't know. I mean, you could, but I think Lady B, her guess was maybe Beth Phoenix, and I would love to see Beth Phoenix. And then on the men's side, I don't know. I feel like on the men's side, you're going to have, instead of it being old school returns, unless you mean...
Do you want to flip to the men?
Yeah, we can go ahead and flip to the men's. I'm hoping... It depends on injury things. I have meant to say it the last 2 times we've talked about it, but I'm hoping this is where the flamboyant Juice Robinson returns.
Oh my God, please.
The last I heard, he was getting closer and closer to an in-ring return. I'm hoping they're not going to hold him off TV just because Jay White is not. I'm hoping they're not going to. Unless the information they're giving about Jay is because they don't want to spoil his return. It sounds from what was reported the other day, Jay's injury was worse than they thought it was, and he also is dealing with some other injuries and taking time off for that. So if that report is to be believed, Jay White will not be returning anytime soon. So I hope that means that that's not going to keep Juice from coming back. I hope that maybe they'll put him back with the Guns, or maybe we'll just get singles Juice Robinson, because Juice Robinson's an incredible wrestler. He's very underrated. I think maybe this is where I've been saying this last few weeks. I think this could be where Mark Davis returns. I believe he was only supposed to be out like 4 to 8 weeks. It's been like more than 3 months now. Hopefully his foot is healed. And he's ready to go. It's not like Don Callis needs another family member, but this member doesn't want to be in the Don Callis family, but was told if he wants to be on TV, he will be with the Don Callis family. So I could see him potentially returning tonight as well. But I do think I have MJF winning this.
Oh, interesting. I guess that probably makes the most sense with where we're going right now.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on who ends up being in it. I hope Scorpio Sky, now that he has returned.
I mean, unless Adam Copeland decides to come back.
I don't think he's getting a world title shot, though, because the winner of this match gets a world title shot. And
That's fair.
I don't think Cope is getting one. Yeah. I hope somebody I hope that Jericho does not return here.
Oh my God, if he shows up, I will lose my...
I don't want him on this pay-per-view at all.
You can stay just once. Can we just once? Please?
Yeah.
All right. For the love of dog. All right.
Yes, we hit on this a bit with JD. The match is if the Young Bucks lose, they are no longer EVPs basically on camera. If Swerve and Will, I'm sorry, if the Young Bucks lose, but if Swerve and Ospreay lose, then that means they cannot compete for the world title for a year, which obviously is way more compelling storyline. So I think the Bucks win this.
Agreed. I think that this is a big setup to keep people from being like, why aren't Swerve and Will in the picture?
Mm-hmm.
This is and like JD even put that extra component of the chase between the two of them to see who gets to do it. I didn't even think about that component.
I didn't either. It makes
that even makes it more. I like the possibilities here because it does give them an aspiration. It makes Hangman's title like his run free from controversies. Like, why isn't it on Will or Swerve? We know why. It's not like they're never ever going to be able to do it again. It's going to be a fun year to see which one of these guys kicks however many people's faces in to try and get back into the picture. So, I'm.
And then I think that's how if MJF wins the Casino Battle Royal, then that's how he's able to get a title shot, and that's the whole reason he said he joined the Hurt Syndicate.
Was to get his Triple B back.
Yep. So I think I think that's how MJF gets it.
That makes sense. You're making a lot of sense, Sam.
I'm so annoyed that this match is happening. This match should not be happening.
I don't even know why this match is on
here. First of all, we forget about AEW forgets they have trios champions all the time. When Death Riders did have the trios champions, trios titles, they barely defended them because they forgot about them. I love the outs. I get getting Samoa Joe and Shibata paydays. You could have put them in the gauntlet match, but if you had to have a trios match, there are plenty of people in the Don Callis family that could have made a trios team. You could have put RPG. You could have put RPG Vice and Lance Archer and or Josh Alexander in this match. I don't like Gabe Kidd being involved in this. They're not going to win the titles. Gabe Kidd is not taking a trios title into the G1. This match. You wait till Pac is healthy, and if he's healthy enough, do it at Forbidden Door. I don't know why this match, other than getting Samoa Joe and Shibata paydays, I don't know why this match is happening.
Yeah, I don't know why they did this. I neither care who wins, nor do I understand why this has been added to the card, especially with Moxley doing a death match at the end. So his buddies are all out here doing this thing, and then he's doing a death match, like.
Though, I don't. Maybe Hook comes back because Hook is pissed that if he's healed from his concussion, maybe he comes back but he's pissed that Hobbs took his spot and took his title. How is that going to work with this? Are we going to freebird it? As I mentioned a few weeks ago, this match is pointless and this is a TV match, not a pay-per-view match. And Gabe Kidd has no business being in this match.
Agree. I knew you were going to be mad. The minute that he showed up, I was like, "Oh, Sam is not."
They're not going to win the titles.
But you saw it coming too, which is the worst part.
I hate it.
You saw, like, to your credit, when it happened, I was like, Sam called this a freaking, like, 2 weeks ago, she called this. It's like, she's a smart girl. Even though she knows she didn't like it, she knew it was coming. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah. I am still super excited for it. I am super bummed that I am not there to witness in person, especially if it is the last match that these two ever have. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping the universe lets Father Time slow down enough and then be healthy enough that they can run it back where I can selfishly be there in person.
Yeah.
Regardless if this is the last one or not, it's the match we've all been for fans who have watched New Japan. I was gonna say for all of us AEW fans who do not watch New Japan, maybe they are not, and so maybe they don't care about this match. They certainly don't care about it in the way that we do. But for those of us who have seen the original 4, especially in real time, this is the match we've been waiting 7 years for. I think it delivers. I do understand the concerns about Okada. I think Okada will show you what Tony is paying him the big bucks for. He will earn everything. I
think some of that talk, he's not immune. I think some of that talk definitely was, when that gets around and you're an athlete and you're a real competitor and you're a real artist, that gets under your skin. That starts to make you realize, like, okay, you guys just keep thinking that. If Okada shows up, y'all are going to be like, we're really sorry.
Yeah. If the Okada that I think shows up, they will have.
I think the guy's got enough dignity and respect for the sport and himself to show out today.
I think so too. I hope it lives up to the first 4. I hope it lives up to fans' expectations. I hope it gets 10 stars. I hope it's better than Takeshita versus Bandito yesterday, but it's going to be very hard to top that because that match was incredible and those guys are a lot younger and a lot healthier. On top of that, regardless, Kenny Omega wins. I think Kenny will be the unified champion. Tony said on the media call that the titles would be unified and they have the new title. However, if the champion wants, they can carry around all 3 titles. He created this title. He specifically said he created this title to have something special for this match. That's basically what he said.
Alrighty.
So I don't think Omega is going to carry around 3 titles. The man's struggling to carry around his body the way that it is. I think he will carry the one. The one thing that I do like is that the lineage will stay. The lineage from both titles will be the lineage of this title, and there has been some incredible champions with this, so I like that. And Tony said yes, the C2 will continue. He will talk more about it when it gets closer, but C2 is something they end the year with and start the year with, and that's not going anywhere. So thankfully we do know that. But yeah, I think Omega is.
I think Omega's winning this too. Yeah, I think that's
and he will make this. He will attempt to make this title as prestigious as the world title,
and it will again eliminate the conversation, which even Kenny has said, I don't want the title again, pretty much. And it will eliminate people calling for him to be the champion, overall champion.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you think of his image. I mean, I know rightfully some people think his image has, they don't like his image. I personally don't. I still think Okada is the greatest and he's earned every right to be wrestling the way that he has. For me, personally, I get the argument, but for me, he doesn't have to do anything to regain his image. That he still has that image for me. But I get it. Yeah.
Here we go, ladies.
Yes, the ladies match we've talked at length about today and leading up to it. I think this match is going to deliver. I think it's going to be really, really great. It's kind of, on the one hand, it's great because it is on a card full of great matches, but on the other hand, it's on a show that they can't main event because of the other things that are happening, which is unfortunate. And these women have got to main event this year. Like, there's no more, like, Tony, you have to do it. We're halfway through year 6, buddy. It's time to start not fucking around. You had your match and you didn't follow through. So they're gifting you another one, and you got to follow through this time. But I'm going to stick with my prediction. I think Mercedes Moné wins. I think she continues her belt collector gimmick. And then I think that she hangs on to the TBS title until she gets to day 501 or very close to it, and then she drops it. And then I think we see Tony maybe go away for a little bit, like JD suggested. But regardless, I think Mercedes continues her belt collector ways.
Yeah, because I think this is headed for the she gets to the pen, or she gets the thing, and then she starts to unwind eventually. And I think she's going to do a great job with it. I'm very, I mean, we did talk about it, but I'm in agreement with Sam. I think that's probably going to be Mercedes.
Yes,
and I like the idea of Tony disappearing and then coming back, being wanted,
being Tony San Diego.
Yeah. Well, we can wonder where in the world she is until she comes back.
We kind of did that the last time when she left.
I like this. It was leading us somewhere. Tony is so good.
We should have known. Tony's always telling stories.
Tony Storm is booking 3-dimensional chess.
She is. She's always telling stories. We should have seen it coming. And this is what I assume is going to be our main event. The Texas death match between Mox and Hangman. Yes, they've had a death match before. Who cares? They're in Texas. This is Hangman Page's bread and butter. This man thrives in death matches. When he was champion, I believe he had 4 of them, and he had he's had incredible death matches with Lance Archer. And I don't say that as a slight to Lance Archer, because singles Lance Archer is incredible. And I didn't know that Lance Archer existed until I saw him in singles actions in New Japan. Lance Archer is way better than people give him credit for.
Oh yeah.
And he's had some incredible,
way better than he's booked.
Yeah. He's so good in these death matches. So I feel like we've talked about this as well. I stand by the fact that, Death Riders are going to Death Riders. They're going to get involved in this. We'll see Willow here because of Marina. But I think this is potentially where you have the return of Darby Allin, the return of Sting, and the return of Bryan Danielson. I feel like they're all going. This is perhaps where Eddie Kingston returns. I've talked about this a lot, about the Jon Moxley Eddie Kingston story. They're really good friends, but now Jon Moxley has gone and teamed. He's been working with his arch nemesis. He has called him his number 1. He has literally said he will die for him. I think that is not going to, that Eddie Kingston, if he is healthy, he's not going to put up with that. He is not going to want to see that man as champion. He will do anything that he can to keep him from having that title because of that. So I think if Eddie is healthy, we could see him here. But I have another theory that could potentially happen depending on what happens with Jack Perry. Jack Perry could come here and I've always thought he was going to join the Death Riders. I think he could potentially do it now. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. I mean, you could still do it here. Also, you could have, because the only thing is, though, they are aligned with the Bucks, and he was mad at the Bucks for abandoning him when he was champion, because the Bucks, let's not forget, are scared of the Death Riders. They went and worked at home or from home for months because they were scared of them. And then they came back and aligned themselves with the Death Riders for their protection. So maybe Jack is like, no, I don't want to. But yes, I feel like that's where we're going. But I'm sure they're just going to overbook the hell out of it because that seems like what they're doing here. But if Hangman doesn't win this, I don't know what we're doing here and why you switched it from Hangman to why you switched it from Will. This match was let's not forget, this match was supposed to build Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley. That decision was changed like literally at fairly last minute. And not that Hangman doesn't deserve this, but this was supposed to have been Will Ospreay. And then you have Will Ospreay winning and going into Forbidden Door. And then they were like, nope, let's kind of retcon this a little bit. We're going to have Hangman win. And then we're going to have and I like what they're doing with the tag team with the Young Bucks and then keeping Swerve and Hangman Swerve and Ospreay from the titles for a year, but let's not forget this is what the match was supposed to have been. If Jon Moxley doesn't lose tonight, I don't know where you have him lose, and Darby Allin is not the answer. There's no amount of convincing that will convince me that he is the guy.
I'm not there.
I will not.
I'm not there
and
either.
Apparently I didn't see the comment, but somebody told me that Darby Allin says that he doesn't need to be world champion. He doesn't, like, that's not a thing for him. Like, that's not something he wants to be, that he's not going out of his way to get out. I don't know if he's just saying that to make people think otherwise, or if they finally realize, like, we have all of these single stars who would be better faces of our company than Darby Allin. Darby can hold the TNT champion for the 12th time. But you know what? I predicted a lot of stuff wrong the last time. So,
Yeah, we were dead wrong the last time.
We were wrong at a lot of stuff last time, even though it all made sense. And then it turns out it was, in part of it was because they changed their mind on Will Ospreay. And at some point, Athena was supposed to face Mercedes. Then they changed it to Tony, obviously, at some point as well. But maybe I'm way wrong and all of these picks are wrong. And then you come back next week and we'll figure out what the aftermath
talk about it then. And you can all
we'll
yell at us.
Figure out what we're doing at Forbidden Door.
Hey, we're just here. These are our picks. We're not professionals here.
We're not. They're just picks just to be, this is what we think is going to happen. Clearly, we have been proven wrong very recently. So, maybe every single one of these things is maybe the only thing we got right is like maybe the Young Bucks match, maybe. And Kyle Fletcher, like, I think that's pretty much a given.
I think that one's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Given that's happening.
Well, we'll see. I think it's going to be a good show, though. I do believe that it's going to be a good pay-per-view.
What? Lady B, thank you for this. Tony Khan just announced that Adam Cole is hurt and the TNT is now a 4-match. Wait a minute. I was getting alerts in my... Hold on. Let me check my text messages.
What?
Yep. I was like...
Holy crap. We definitely need to get one of these breaking news alert things here because too much happens on our show. Wow, that's late notice.
Lady B, are you in the building? Too?
Oh, that's right, because everyone's there today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people there.
I know that Lady B was talking about going, and we were literally just talking about this. So is it for an interim, Lady B, if you're still here?
He got hurt last night.
Is it?
Or a Thursday night on that shitty bump? Oh, that's so funny.
What was that? That was because it was the Paragon?
That's so weird because Bob said, oof, I hope Adam's okay because
he just announced that he did a live stream. Okay, so I'm asking, or Lady B, if you, or somebody, okay.
Of all of you people with access to the internet. Oh my
God. What?
You aren't? I'm sorry.
So wait. So are Sammy and Dustin not in the pre-show match now? Are we not doing Sons of Texas and Von Erichs versus Shane Taylor Promotions?
That's what it looks like. That's these people from the comments. It says True Lady has been announced on the show right now.
Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah,
Fletcher versus Sammy versus Garcia versus Dustin.
Yeah, Sammy and Dustin have no business being in this match.
This is Fletcher, Sammy. Oh my god.
And Garcia, this is not, Kyle Fletcher should not be winning like this.
That's terrible. That's a terrible decision.
I don't like this. I know that it must have been super last minute. And again, I am not, I love Dustin Rhodes. I've made that abundantly clear. But we got to stop this. This is insane. Why is he already has 2 titles. Why is he getting a title match for a 3rd title? And of course I don't think he's winning. But why are you doing this? Like,
I don't, this is where Tony Khan comes up short a lot. It's that pivot factor. It's that what do I do in this situation? He has to make, every booker is going to come across a time where they're going to have to make these difficult decisions every time. Anybody who's in charge of anything is going to have stuff that unexpectedly happens and you're going to have to pivot. It's how we react to that.
Right. Two wrestlers on the same tag team. Yeah. What are we doing here? Like, what are we like? And I get it.
There's a lot of other people. How about you pull Jet Speed out of that stupid Eat the Pin match? Have somebody else do it.
Have two wrestlers from the same tag team in a 4-way. Give me Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. Thank you. I was just about to say Scorpio Sky, Anthony Bowens.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Like, I know, and I'm trying to give Tony some grace. I know this is a last minute thing. I know they're in Texas.
That's terrible.
But this is not the way to do it. The infantry is right there. Take the infantry out of your dumb little pre-show match and put them in it.
Yep.
Like, just run back Kyle Fletcher. I know that Kyle Fletcher
was a layup. You're right,
Lady. I know that Kyle Fletcher just beat Daniel Garcia on Collision 100 to earn this shot. Run back Kyle Fletcher and Daniel Garcia again.
Yeah, do that. That would be definitely.
So this is for, I guess this is to be the number one contender, right? Or did they take the?
I think they just said it was It's what if
is it an interim? Is this going to be for an interim title, or did they?
There is a change to the TNT title match.
Right.
It doesn't say. It says.
So that's what I'm asking. Do we know if
this is for a title shot situation?
Like, is Adam Cole being stripped of his title? Like, is he that injured that he's being stripped of the title and we're naming an interim, or are we getting an interim champion, or is this the name of number one contender? Does anybody have this information yet?
Yes. Okay. Wow. Shoot. Wow. Exactly.
It said, I get Danny Garcia, I get Kyle Fletcher, I even get Sammy, but what's Dustin Rhodes in this effing match? Okay. He has been stripped of the title.
All right.
Okay. I'm informing the chat as well.
Crash, don't do that to me. That's not.
Wait.
You're going to have to put Crash's comment up on there. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
No, that would have to be that. How is that not MJF? Actually, listen, Adam Cole is orange, but nobody as bad as Braun Breaker, because good Lord, that man commits crimes with he looks like a rotisserie chicken.
This is crazy. Wow.
I know that, like,
right.
I just you're not supposed to drink it. Apparently somebody didn't get
on the bottle. Who knew?
Yeah, how bad did he get hurt? I want them to, but they just retained the tag titles last night, so I'm guessing not yet.
On the show last night?
No, Sons of Texas retained their tag titles at Supercard last night. Because somebody said, "Are we?" No, he's asking who split. Are we splitting them up? And I'm saying no, we're not splitting up Sons of Texas because they retained. No, Adam Cole was on Collision. He was not on last night's show.
So that would have meant that he would have been hurt on the Thursday show in that spot that Bob caught that he was saying something. So why did they wait until now?
Probably because they probably had to wait for swelling to go down and see if it was something that they could do. That's probably why. I mean, it's only been not even a whole 48 hours.
Yeah, right.
So I guess they probably,
they thought that they could push it through, and then they just
something wasn't, if he had to deal with swelling and they had to wait for it to go down, I would assume that's why. Fair. So yeah, he had plenty of time with Scorpio Sky right there. So, hey, guess what? Scorpio Sky is a former TNT champion.
Well, Anthony Bowens that's a great point. Bowens would be great.
Sammy, yes, also a former TNT champion. Oh, and actually, well, no, because Sammy won the TNT title. That's like one of the few title changes for the TNT title on Battle of the Belts was because Cody allegedly had COVID and right before our show. They pulled him. They had to do a last minute match, Sammy versus Dustin. Fantastic match. Sammy won that title. But yeah, I just I hate it. I'm trying to not hate so much on Tony. I know it's a last minute thing. But on the other hand, why are you putting Sammy and Dustin? I get Sammy as the former TNT champion. I know Dustin is You also just had Dustin wrestle last night. This man is, and I know he's in, and I don't want to take away from his health, but like he literally just wrestled last night and got busted open. He was supposed to be in a pre-show, and now you're putting him in this. This is insane. And so Kyle Fletcher is going to win his title, and I hate that Kyle Fletcher is going to win like this. Fletcher, I think, was winning regardless. I think Fletcher is your champion. But wait. Wait. Crash, can you clarify what do you mean they're already on the card? On 0 Hour. Are you
The Sons of Texas were on 0 Hour.
Yeah, they were. They were on the card. So I'm assuming that match has been canceled, correct?
Don't know.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Sons of Texas. Yeah. Lady B says, so they lose the tag match on 0 Hour, and then Sammy turns on Dustin during the match. Well, but 0 Hour is not a title match. It's a 4-way. It's Sons of Texas and the Von Erichs versus Shane Taylor Promotions.
Oh, they are wrestling twice.
You can barely get Athena on the card, and now we're getting Dustin Rhodes twice and Sammy Guevara twice.
Yeah.
The Von Erichs are one half of the trios title champions. I'm sorry, the 6-man champion with Dustin Rhodes. Wow. Dustin has 2 titles, and now will be competing for a 3rd title today in 2025. Again, I say that as somebody who loves Dustin Rhodes, and I'd rather have Dustin Rhodes on my TV than Christopher Jericho.
Well, true story. I mean,
but on the other hand,
we're really parsing things out at that point.
Why didn't just make it a 3-way and do Daniel Garcia versus Sammy versus Kyle, because 2 of them have been TNT champion. Again, Scorpio Sky, put him in there. If you've got to make it a 4-way, he's the former. So is Dustin in this match to take the pin from Kyle Fletcher? Is that what we're doing here?
Got to imagine so.
You're gonna have your double champion eat the pin.
Yikes.
Is that what we're doing here?
Wow.
Oh, wow. Great way to create some chaos.
It's 1:38 p.m. Eastern time, and the show hasn't even started, and there's already drama.
Grace said, I watched Dustin was a child in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm 45 years old. Again, I love Dustin Rhodes. I love him more than I like Sammy, and Sammy is questionable, and that's not a whole topic I'm getting into right now.
Certainly.
But I love Dustin, but I don't want Dustin, and I don't want to see Dustin in this match. And I feel like Dustin's only in it to get pinned. But Kyle Fletcher pinning Dustin Rhodes to win the title, is that where we're going with this? I mean, maybe he pins Sammy. I mean, maybe Sammy tries to save Dustin, Sammy eats the pin instead. I mean, it's not going to kill Sammy to eat a pin. Scorpio Sky was right there.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I forgot, we were talking about the Casino Gauntlet, and I was thinking at people who could have been in this. I want to go back to the Gauntlet and say, Wardlow, I won't be surprised if he's in it. Maybe Camille returning to promote American Gladiators.
Oh, good point. Yep.
Maybe this is where they return. We talked about it a few weeks ago, but talking about Scorpio Sky made me think of Wardlow. But I don't know. I don't know if you want to put Wardlow and MJF in the same match, because I think Wardlow still hates him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Understandably so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So regardless, Kyle Fletcher is going to be your new TNT champion. I don't like how they're doing this at all. I hate that and it's not fair. He put Sammy and Dustin in this position. I mean, maybe they volunteered. Maybe I'm putting all my hate on Tony Khan, and maybe Sammy and Dustin were just trying to be nice, and they're like, we'll do double duty today. So maybe I should be applauding them for doing double duty.
We'll find out more.
Okay, is Josh Matthews on commentary? Josh Matthews apparently has just shown up. I know he's been working backstage for a few months, but I just got a text that he just showed up.
Yeah. Looks like it. It looks like it from our commentators, from our folks in the chat. It would appear so.
Okay.
He's just there, but not on commentary.
Okay. I was just curious. I like Josh Matthews, but I don't care for him on commentary. And you have not when you've got there's other people I'd rather listen to. But he's been working backstage since he left TNA. He's been doing backstage stuff. I don't know exactly what he does, but obviously Madison Rayne also works backstage as well. Yeah, he's been there. I think like pretty soon after he left TNA, I heard he started working in the back. I'm not exactly sure what he does back there, but yeah, I don't want him on commentary. I say that with love with Josh from Josh Matthews when I watched you back on Tough Enough when you had your mean girlfriend who made you cry because you wanted to be a wrestler and she was terrible. So I've watched his career for a long time. He's not the greatest on commentary. I mean, he's better than Matt Stryker because good Lord.
Oh God.
Okay. Going to backstage. Madison was out there earlier. Yeah, they like to bring her out on the pre-shows to ask women's questions. I mean, they ask her about other wrestling, but they ask her, she's always like, what do you think about the women's match? They ask her about other stuff, but it's always like, what do you think about the women? And she's always like, they rule and they need more attention and they're just as good as the men. So Madison's always there to be a cheerleader. Yeah, so I guess before any other hell breaks loose, because that was fun.
Yay.
Everybody's in real life, real time reactions to.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the info.
Thank you. She does do. I like Madison. She does do a good job and actually show credibility to her. And they do. And like I like that she's there for the women. To speak with, especially ROH women who don't have, like, because Maria's not there anymore. They need somebody like a Madison Rayne who has been around for a long time who can help them. It just, I really hate this for Adam Cole. That man can't catch a break, and I hate it. I mean, regardless, I think he was losing today, unfortunately. Maybe fortunately, because I think Kyle's going to be a great champion. I don't like that Kyle has to win this way, and I know that's card subject to change. I hope Adam Cole's injury isn't as bad as they fear, and that he can get back on his feet, literally and figuratively, soon. I hate that for him. I hate it for everybody involved. I'm sure, as annoyed as I am at this match, I'm sure it's going to be a solid match, especially on last minute's notice. I'm sure they're going to go out there and kill it and do the best that they can. And it's very unfortunate when injuries happen, especially this close to the show. And it's, So, we will be, I guess, wrap. Oh, I guess I was going to say we're going to wrap up. I don't know. Before this news came out, I was going to ask you what your sleeper match was going to be and your match of the night, but
I know.
Back in the afternoon, but now that just completely,
I'm not sure what to think.
Yeah. So we'll just never mind. I think the last three matches, assuming that's the order it happens in, actually the last four, I assume, were depending on where they put the Bucks and Will Ospreay and
I think that should be a decent match. I expect that'll be a good match.
The Young Bucks show up. The Young Bucks can still go.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that they will. I just I hate we have to end on that note, but like there's not, that's kind of what we have to do. Again, make sure that you're subscribed, turn on your notification bell. Jeremy will be here with rotating guests to talk about today's show and the aftermath of what's happening.
The aftermath of the before math.
Yeah, right. Definitely come back next Sunday and we'll talk about it we'll see how this four-way ends up playing out, and we'll talk about it next week. And we're gonna be, I think the women's match is gonna be really good. I feel like we're gonna open with I think we're gonna open with a gauntlet match. I feel like maybe the men's gauntlet opens to kind of, because MJF likes to open matches when he's not in the main event. He likes to open the show,
so he can go home.
And then also, I mean, you could do the women's match and then have one of them be the possibility. I don't think anybody is going to cash in tonight, but I think having it in the beginning kind of adds to the potential that maybe there's some possibility there. So I feel like a gauntlet match will open the show, but yes, make sure you come back, watch that. If you want to, the wrap will also be live this evening. I'm not sure what time their show starts. I think they're a bit later because I think Saturday night's main event doesn't end till 10. So they might be like 10:15, 10:30 Eastern time because they are covering NXT and Saturday night's main event. Bless them for having to watch Bill Goldberg wrestle in 2025, and bless them if he ends up somehow beating Gunther to win that title.
Yikes.
Please send thoughts and prayers to the Rap. I mean, maybe they'll be happy. Like, maybe Salty Scott, like, maybe he'll be into it. Keeler probably not so much, but might need to send them your thoughts and prayers.
I will definitely be listening to their angers and saltinesses, though.
Yes, and then
at least when WWE does dumb things, they are there to point it out in the most hilarious and wonderful ways.
Yeah. Where do you stick that 4-way when it's gonna be kind of last minute? Like, you can't have it super early in the card, but you can't have it too late where people don't care because you're trying to get to. They're nearly in an impossible situation. I hate this for them.
Yeah, this sucks.
I hate it.
That's a big one.
Regardless, Kyle Fletcher is gonna be your new TNT champion, which amazing for him. Hate it for Adam Cole. I hate that I just hate it for him. And then tomorrow, Evolution. Garrett will be here live after Evolution to talk about what happened. And I think he's going to have some guests popping in as well with him. So a full weekend of stuff here at Fight Game Media on this YouTube channel. And then we will be back next Sunday at our normal time at 1 p.m. If you're new here, our normal time Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're just here because when pay-per-views move to Saturdays, then we're here on Saturdays, which that will be happening soon with football season about to gear up. So yeah, follow us on the socials, and thank you for sticking with us. Make sure we will post the stuff for JD's Kickstarter a week from Tuesday. We'll tell you everything about that. Go buy, if you are into it, go buy Powerbombshells t-shirts.
Comes in 3 colors.
Yes, comes in 3 colors and powder blue, pink, and black. You can go to oneradtea.com, and anywhere in the world they will ship to you. Again, we don't know what the shipping prices are depending on where you're at, but the shirts themselves are $15.
And they are good quality, guys, just so you know. Kyle does not skimp on his. And
Mel and I will have ours soon enough so we can tell you for sure. Like, we can tell you about the fits and the things like that. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank everybody for everything, really.
And quite the format we go, but I really enjoyed having JD on and kind of letting him take over.
And hey, big shout out to all you guys that are supporting Bob and I on this America's Favorite Couple thing. It's a huge whim thing. And for those of you who don't know, we kind of entered on a whim for this variety advertorial that will give us some money to get back into our business and get rolling. So you can vote once a day. I've been posting it to all my socials like crazy. I'm not usually someone who puts myself out there. They're starting to tell me.
Reminds me, I got to vote today. I have not voted yet. I've been thank you for the reminder.
They're starting to tell me who's been voting and who's been donating. And not only is it really cool, you guys, it's going to the food banks for the LA fires, and it's also going to ocean preservation. So it's all a nonprofit. It's Jeff Goldblum and his wife who are sponsoring it, and they're all just giving back to. But I also appreciate that you guys, those that are out there that actually donated on top. So it's not just for you're not just doing one weird thing. This is actually an advertisement that's going to help people. It's a nonprofit that they run. They shift their focus based on need.
Yeah.
So it's something.
And again,
really
it's called America's Favorite Couple, and we've been posting it. We'll make sure to get the links out too.
And I'm so grateful, literally, to you, Sam, and everyone else who's been voting and supporting it. You guys are the best. And have a wonderful all-in weekend, everyone.
Yes. Happy all-in, happy Evolution if you're watching, and happy wrestling, as Ian Riccaboni said.
Weekend. All right, and we will talk to you guys next week.